Previously on Quantum Kickflip.
Gabor just revealed their weakness.
Trev, you're proposing we go head-to-head with 4 giant nega-friction-powered machines designed for constructing buildings.
I mean, when you compare that to the uphill battle of winning over the hearts and minds of everyone in Operaeblum, it's honestly sounding like the easier fight to win.
You can't keep taking these situations into your own hands, Maeveline. There is more going on than you know.
As far as I can tell, nobody's stepping up, and I got 4 hands right here, so...
If you come back now, you could still be untethered.
I'm sorry, Tarman.
Goldstar Disaster. You are with the Wicks, K-Jump and Tybalt, Decembria, Hands, and Mondo, and Sequence. You find yourselves on Triskelion Base, on floor 7, between the 3 towers of Operaeblum, and it is here that you see these 4 Martin units.
2 6s.
Yeah, let's go!
Yeah, let's go!
You have destroyed these robots completely. Why do you have to ruin everything?
Haven't you heard? We're Goldstar Disaster. It's right there in the name.
When the Arborists decide that a dimension isn't playing nice anymore, they cut it off like the dead branches of a tree. You all look down to see a figure cloaked in violet light getting closer and closer. An armor-clad Thenis-Spartian. Gabor takes in this figure and his face twists in rage. He hurls an orb at the figure, who in a quick snapping motion effortlessly catches it and hurls it back. And you all see a black tear open and stretch behind Gabor. He flies backwards and disappears into the black scar, which instantly seals up. The Nexus Master recovers, still in midair, and they turn their attention to each of you.
Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to Quantum Kickflip, a Slugblaster actual play podcast. My name is Laena. I am your host and your Slugmaster, and with me are some of my best and funniest friends in the whole world, and they are going to introduce themselves to you now. Players, as you introduce yourselves, I want you to tell me the thing about your character you're most proud of.
Hi, I'm Liam. I play Helix Pinnacle, the Smarts playbook with the hard light board. And I think that's the thing that I'm sort of most proud of. I had a lot of fun conceiving the premise of this character, the tube stuff, the twin stuff, the fact that he's named after a magic card. That's all well and good. But when I unlike Lake, where the signature was really a big part of it, I don't feel like his signature was really intrinsic to who the character was, even the way like Walt's robot companion is like, there is no Walt without a robot companion. I think Helix could have had any signature and it wouldn't have changed him that much. So the thing I'm most proud of for him and me is how we found creative uses for the hard light board, because it is, looking over the ones that you can choose from in the Slugblaster book, it's the one that I found was both like the least versatile, but also then kind of the most versatile.
Yeah.
Because it is just your board with tricks on it, whereas like, it's not a gun. It's not a interdimensional manipulator. It's just a board that can change its shape. And I had a lot of fun sort of testing the limits of that.
Hi, my name is Michael Vetsch, and I'm here playing Woldton Wick, the chill playbook with the robot companion. And as Liam alluded to, I think the robot companion stuff is the stuff that I'm most proud of, having sort of like worked with Laena to build up the idea of Daibokin and doing stuff in a way that's so closely a one-to-one to Digimon, but also has the other influences of the Pokemon things and other stuff that I grew up loving.
Because that is my soul touchstone. Yes, it is.
I think it built out in a way that like you could see that show up as some random bootleg video game on a PS2 or something, and it's like this has a system that makes sense and is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Robyn. I play Maeveline Xandross, the grit playbook with the photonic jacket. It has a lot about Maeveline I'm proud of. I love that I got to bring some OC energy in there with the fugitive kid getting a second chance arc. That was a fun reference to my own media interests. I liked exploring Maeveline's like sort of the religious side with the arborists and like that's not a thing that I have a lot of personal experience with. So role playing as a character who has like a spiritual side was like neat, and going through that arc and not having her turn away from it, but having her kind of embrace it. I was very proud of like the story we told there. But I like, if I have to narrow it down to one thing, I would say it's that she's got 4 hands, which is twice as many.
And you
as
remember
most people. Yeah. So
Hello, my name is Dave, and I play Trev 4, the Heart Playbook with the Hyperoptic Visor. I think the thing I'm most proud of with Trev, this character was a challenge. I liked the kind of concept of doing a robot, and every once in a while I would hit these things of like, but he's got to act like a robot. And I don't think like a robot, so I have to like, I was going through a couple different layers with that, but I was proud of like how he handled some of that, and even still found like the fun, and proud of the arc that he took over the course of, you know, being a yes man robot to being an independent rabble rouser at the end. So.
Yeah. And as I mentioned, my name is Laena. I am your host and your Slugmaster, and I'm just generally proud of all of you, but that's not interesting to listen to. I think I'm gonna go with like the characters that I came up with that were like adjacent to your characters.
Lexing.
yeah, you're most proud of Lexing.
I am most proud. Yeah, you know what? Screw Tarmant, screw Sequence, Brabley, Brayton, who cares? Lexing is the thing I'm most proud of in this whole season. 100%. Speaking of your characters, let's hang out with them one more time and figure out how this chapter of their story ends. Once more with feeling, let's play some Slugblaster.
Yay! Slugblaster!
Goldstar Disaster. You are at Triskelion Base on floor 7 between the 3 towers of Operaeblum. You have faced off against the 4 Marten robots that have been commissioned to complete the construction of Triskelion Base with the help of your Negafriction coils. You have completely decimated all 4 of them with hardlight fists, giant hermit crab pincers, very strategic uses of heavy-duty servos, and of course the classic stop hitting yourself gambit. After this fight, you were confronted by Gabor, but the confrontation was short-lived because you are now face-to-face with a much more formidable foe, the Nexus Master, who fully knocked Gabor's ass into another dimension and out of the narrative. The Nexus Master floats in the space between the 3 towers in front of you, cloaked in a glowing violet light that seems to keep them propelled in the air. They are covered head to toe in full armor. They are fast. They are highly trained. They have a purple ionic pole axe glowing in their right hands, and they have their sights set on you. And we are going to set just a little progress track.
No, big one. A big progress track. Lots of
Oh, you want a big progress track?
No progress track. No, wait.
You want a big danger track?
I'm gonna go ahead and give a nice big progress track at Liam's request. It's gonna have to wrap around a little bit here.
Little danger, big danger, little progress.
Big progress, little danger. We're speaking the same language.
I'm not the smarts.
All right, so we've got ourselves a track here of, 11 marks. Nexus Master. Once you have marked every spot on this track, the Nexus Master will stop coming for you. What do you do?
Oh, no. So listen, that's, if I'm right, which I don't know if I am, because this is something that I've never seen before, but pretty sure that's the Nexus Master, which is like, what's that old Null movie? It's like the Arborist Terminator. It just keeps coming for you. It's an unstoppable force of Arborist justice, and I kind of thought it was a made up story until I laid eyes on it just this second. We're in trouble, gang.
Well, what are they mad at? We saved Operaeblum.
I don't know if that's what they were hoping for. I don't know if that's the outcome that they were banking on.
Trev is trying to analyze the Nexus Master. Can I get like a description of like what this Nexus Master looks like?
Thenispartian, full armor. They're wearing a helmet with glowing purple eyes. Armor is kind of like dark in color. On the back of it, you can see the symbol of the Arborists. The glowing, think like Super Saiyan aura, but purple, and the purple poleaxe.
What is this energy that's coming off of it? What is it reading on my sensors?
Cool, floaty, badass energy.
Oh.
It's how they fly.
CFBE.
Yeah.
Careful. It has a lot of cool energy coming off of it.
Maeve, did those Arborist myths say anything about a weakness?
I would love to make a roll here to see if there is any relevant information I know as an arborist, any clues, any weaknesses, any lore that might help us in this upcoming fight. I want to make a history check in Slugblaster is what I'm saying.
Okay, let's get a roll. The higher the roll, the more you know.
Your phone rings. Maeveline, I can see through my third eye you're fighting the Nexus Master.
Oh, that's actually better.
You want to call Charla?
I want to call Charla. I want to phone a friend. And then how high I roll is how much she knows. To be clear, is a failure going to mark our no, because there's no danger track.
There's no danger track. Lucky you.
Well, yeah, because
but a success here is not going to mark our progress track either. No. It's just giving us info. Okay.
Exactly.
In that case, I would like to roll 2d6, my standard one, plus 1 from my grit playbook. We got a 5.
5. All right. A mixed success.
Maeve is frantically dialing on her phone, like, you know, in the horror movie when the person's got their key in the door, but they can't quite get it to unlock in time, and she finally gets the number and is like, Charlotte, I need to know everything you know about the Nexus Master.
Maeveline, what's going on? Through my special arborist third eye, I'm sensing there's a wild distortion up there. Just an immense pool of cool floating badass energy.
Yeah, it's the Nexus Master. It's the Nexus Master, and I need to know everything you know, and I need to know it now.
The Nexus Master?
Yes, I'm fighting the Nexus Master, and I need to know everything you know right now.
That's really bad. They carry an ionic poleaxe, and they're supposed to be just a myth. But it's said that they have some sort of power beyond just that of physical damage. It's more than just taking punches and dealing punches. They can affect your very reality and relationship with the multiverse itself.
Okay, so don't get caught sleeping, or you're gonna end up in another dimension.
At best.
Okay, great. Nothing on weaknesses, secret, hidden glowy spots that if we hit them just right.
Kill him! If it bleeds, you can kill it.
Right. Okay. Thanks for the help, Charlotte. And Maeve hangs up.
And I think as you're on this call, the Nexus Master lunges forward, rocketing towards the four of you. But then they get knocked to the side by Tybalt, who was thrown by K-Jump. He used his density pedal to make himself really, really light, so K-Jump could spin him in the air. And then when she threw him, he made himself really, really heavy. And so he...
The old hardball special.
Yeah. So he knocks into the Nexus Master, but they are not phased. They sort of catch him, attach an orb to his chest, throw him into K-Jump. You see a burst of light as the orb explodes, and then you hear 2 pops as K-Jump and Tybalt disappear.
K-Jump! And also Tybalt! To a lesser extent!
That pop sounds a lot like a peel back.
Okay, gang. The floor is open. We need to take this thing out, and we need to take it out now.
If we don't necessarily know this thing's weaknesses, we're just gonna have to try and keep it busy. Anomakin, you ready?
Yes, Woldton. Let's do this.
And I want to enact something that we sort of picked up a few episodes ago while we were moving through a widget factory, an unspecified machine factory in Lansdowne. Wolt, by combination of his abilities, guys, and the gear, something you found on your way here, picked up something in that factory. And I want to try and figure out what that is right now.
Great.
I don't exactly know what to call this, but in my mind, it's a thing that allows for interfacing between electronic and biological materials.
What?
Yes.
Okay, yes.
And essentially through this, maybe it's like a weird little patch. He's like popping it on the back of his hand, and it like digs into his skin, and suddenly like he's connected electrically through the nerve impulses throughout his body, and he's connecting this directly to his Daibo Vice.
Yeah.
And I am hoping to be able to use this to unlock the power of Karsinikin's perfect form data surge.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think this will eventually just culminate in the use of basic ability weapons. Roll to have your robot attack at a distance or in melee, lethally or non-lethally, with weapons you've designed. What are they?
I desperately need this perfect form, so the roll will be how well your attack goes.
I see.
And we've never seen the perfect form, right?
In fact, this is another thing that has been mythologized in Daibokin culture. The only person who has seen a Daibokin surge to perfect form is former champion Olive Fraxinus.
So she claims. I don't even believe her.
Oh, got her.
So for this roll, the chill always starts with 2d6. I think I want to enact as well, sacrifice your body. Take a slam to get plus 2d6 to your action. This slam can be noped or avoided in any way. I think it might be along the way of like, because of this connection he's made with the random interfacing widget, it's actually like pulling from his own like Operaeblum energy source. Like it's sapping his own life force to charge this and go forth, and like using both of their power to go to this newer form. So with that, I guess what sort of slam do we...
Like, maybe just drained?
So from that slam, taking the slam drained, I will get another 2d6, so I'm rolling 4d6 here.
And your slam boxes are now full.
Yes, they are. I would like to take a dare, marking 1 trouble to add a kick to this action. Were there any kick in the hype pool I can pull from?
There is one.
And I know this was a thing a while back. I had activated Omega mode with a Nomukin before.
He is a Nomukin and he is surging. So let me just triple check. Yeah, we'll let it carry over for just a little bit longer for this roll, I'd say.
All right, so that will be rolling 4d6 with 3 kick. That's a 5.
Ooh, baby.
All right, let's see this surge.
Much like before, when there's a surge sequence, there's like a 3D animated, they're spinning. But this is very much like if you go back to like season 1 of Digimon, when they would go to War Greymon or Metal Garurumon, where they have specific individual models that spin and they shoot a beam to the next model. So we see Scampikin in his little shrimpy form, and he turns and he shoots a beam over toward Karsinikin in his crab, and then he turns and he fires a beam and it's over to Arthurkin, the large lobster, and then he fires another beam and it's up to the giant Anomukin's form, and then finally one more beam shoots forward, and it's this large amorphous shape that begins to slowly compact down and down. Even though Anomukin was huge, building sized, this new form, this perfect form, is getting smaller and smaller until it's just like a big humanoid figure. Picture like a Shaq size, like still big, but like more human size now. And it starts coalescing and crystallizing into the shape, and you can sort of picture. This is an odd thing to Google, but a Pokemon Gajinka armor design. It's essentially you take a Pokemon design and you turn it into an armor set that an actual warrior would wear. Look up, like, Crawdaunt Gajinka. That's kind of the thing. It's this guy who's taken on very crustacean armor shapes, and he stands forward and he announces,
Anomukin, Data Surge 2.
Carcinitekin! Standing forward is this huge crab-armored knight carrying a giant, like, warhammer, the head of which is just a massive crab claw. Also on his left hand, he still has another crab claw, which opens up with a large cannon pointing out of it.
Oh my god.
All right, Woldton, let's handle this. Charge! And Carcinitekin jumps forward from the platform where they all were, and he's just like, it looks like he's still floating, kind of like shooting a few bubbles out behind him. It's a little bit silly, but he's up there and he starts engaging with the Nexus Master in midair, pole arm slamming against the haft of his large crab sledgehammer? Large crab warhammer. And they exchange a few blows. Then Carcinitekin calls out, Vulcan Forge Maul! And he just charges up, brilliant orange light shining forth from the hammer, and slams directly into the abdomen of the Nexus Master.
Oh my god, amazing.
It should also be said that as Carcinitekin is charging through the air and doing these swings and attacks, Wolt is just standing on the platform, swinging his arms around as though he's holding a hammer, but he is not.
Very good. Oh man. This attack connects hard. You can tell that the Nexus Masters really felt the impact of it. They're sort of knocked back. You did, because you had 3 kick on this roll?
Yes.
Boy, oh boy. Yeah, so that's 4 marks on this 11 mark progress track.
Okay, good.
Well done. And I think the Nexus Master recovers, winds up with their poleaxe and swings, but it's not a melee attack at Carcinitekin. This crescent-shaped beam sort of flies out of it, and it hits you, Wolt. And you're knocked back and you're sort of reeling for a second. And when you recover, you realize your feet aren't on the ground. And you look down and you see your own body collapsed on the platform.
Oh no.
You have been knocked out of your own body.
Fucking Bruce Bannered in what is it, Endgame? Is where he gets knocked out of his body.
That sounds like a thing that would have happened in Marvel, probably. I have seen Endgame, and it sounds like that probably happened in Endgame. So this is the thing that's going to kick off the Omega engine. We'll keep Carcinitekin in their form, but it just means no additional kick. Mm-hmm. And you are going to take the slam, astral slammed, but your slam boxes are full.
I feel like I'm going to have to try and nope this. I've pictured that this arcing beam comes forward from the Nexus Master, and it does hit Wolt, and we can almost see that moment of his soul pulling back. But there's something about him being here, charged up in this form where he's linked to Carcinitekin, and they're so focused, they're so in this together, particularly because of this patch and everything, that he manages to pull through and take a step right back into himself, and they keep on fighting, engaging the Nexus Master, trying to keep it busy one-on-one up there.
Amazing. Your bond with your Daibokin is so strong that he helps keep you in your own body.
It makes me strong too.
And then, not from Carcinitekin's big booming voice, but from the loudspeaker in your Daibo Vice, and anyone else who has a Daibo Vice, you all hear, come in, Goldstar Disaster, this is Bradley, can you hear me?
Yeah, Bradley, we read you. What's up?
Something's going down in Trinity Munici-Park. Maeve, a bunch of your friends, the Arborists, they're here?
The Arborists are there?
Yeah, they're there. They came from Lanston, but then they also came through, like, the pink portal thingy that people keep going in and out of.
What are they doing?
They've got, like, they're, like, gathered around, and one of them is talking, and they're speaking in Thenispartian, so I don't know what they're saying, but they have these, like, tools, and they look like they're cutting tools, but it looks like they're closing up the portal?
Oh, no. They're pruning Operaeblum. They're gonna prune the dimension. We're gonna be disconnected from the multiverse.
Can you get down here?
Yeah, I'm on it. Just hold on, Bradley.
In the background with the call,
No, please don't do that. Stop. They're trying to do the good things.
So it is at this point that I am going to set up a danger track.
Oh, no.
Prune. Once that's fully marked, problems and maybe bite will mark this track.
Maeve looks around at the carnage here at Carcinitekin fighting with the Nexus Master and kind of takes a queasy glance over the edge of the platform down, some 500 floors down to Trinity Munici-Park, and is like, yeah, no, we need to handle this before we can handle that, but we need to handle this fast.
And as this occurs to you, the still like 5 or 6 copies of Wanda encircle the Nexus Master. Wendy fires another blast from her reality cannon, and another 10 Wandas emerge, and some Whitneys for good measure. The Nexus Master swings their poleaxe in a wide circle, and it sort of radiates out, and all but one of the Wandas disappear. And then it swings it in a vertical circle, opening up a portal. And with a quick flurry of blows from its fists, it knocks the 3 Wicks into this portal, which seals up behind them.
Cousins!
Maeve sees the Nexus Master make short work of the Wicks. She was about to engage her own concept prism to temporarily split into 3d6 colorful instances of yourself, but she saw that go very poorly just now. Like, okay, distraction tactics are not the play. So instead, I'm going to use my ability Flash Patterns, roll to blind, daze, confuse, entrance, or cause seizures in targets that can see your jacket. Just hoping to mark the progress track in the form of like distracting and confusing this thing, throwing it off its rhythm so that other people can maybe land some big hits after this play.
All right.
And I'm going to just make it a quick maneuver here. I'm going to mark 1d6 from the jacket, take a dare to mark another d6. So that's marking a treble. So that'll be rolling with 3d6. I have no kick left to mark. I can get a kick via dare too, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I'll mark another treble to get a kick. So 3d6 with 1 kick. We got a 4.
Technically a success.
Let's describe this maneuver.
So Maeve quickly scrambles to punch something into the sleeve of her jacket and then hits the engage button. And I think it's just, a bright flash of golden light. She kind of times it to, as the Nexus Master is approaching her, she releases this sort of strobe pulse of light. I think just, hoping to blind and daze the Nexus Master.
You activate the flash patterns on your jacket, and these dazzling lights flash out from you. It has absolutely worked. It has gone off. It is flashing towards the Nexus Master. They do a quick flicking motion with their poleaxe, and you activate the flash patterns on your jacket, and it sort of fizzles, and something isn't quite connecting. The Nexus Master has spliced in a reality where instead of rolling a 4, it got knocked down to a 3. And that's your complication.
So I don't mark the track.
Nope.
Oh, boy.
Jeez, brutal. They're also fun because we only have so many slam boxes. How else can you punish us?
That's the thing.
-1 to your roll is how.
I am full of slams right now. So I on the one hand, I want to push back on this, but on the other hand, it's I can't take a slam.
No.
But I'm assuming I also can't nope this.
No, it's not a
because it was a
slam.
success.
Yeah. Well, that was Maeve's play.
Seeing these beams of light and all of this ranged complications being literally thrown our way, Helix tries to figure out exactly what, ranged attacks he has, what physical things he can do to the Nexus Master, and the hard light board, pretty versatile, but ranged weapon it is not. So he is just going to, and also Sequence is with us. Mm-hmm. And I think a few other Slugblasters are kicking around, though I have a feeling they're about to get yeeted into other dimensions as well.
You can see Mad Method is gathering, and Mondo has his scythes ready, and Hans is doing something with his Voidware fanny pack.
Yeah, we're all pretty screwed unless we can get some cover, because we're also on 3 giant open platforms. Yep. So there's no cover.
Nope.
We're getting, stuff thrown at us. So, and then he's got Sequence to protect. So he goes, activate energy lattice, X-axis, form shield, and just takes his board and, holds it up straight up and down the length of his body like a snowboard, and just hard light goes out in every direction. Very similar to the very first play he ever made, trying to scoop one of the Wicks up on that King of the Hill game, as he made a riot shield for them to ramp off of instead of hit him. And he's just going to try to put up as big a shield as he can stretch the hard light to cover himself, Sequence, and anyone else who needs a second to just get behind something safe. I don't have a lot of extra resources, so I'm just going to 1d6 this one.
Woo!
A 3.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
110%, 120%. Come on, stretch it.
You know what? I think the fact that you are pushing this as far as it can go means that you do overclock your device.
Sure.
And you have this big hard light shield. It is covering most of the platform at this point. There's plenty of give on either side. You and Sequence are square in the middle of it, but it's not enough, and you push it even further, and that's where it just gets overclocked, and it flickers and disappears. The light of this shield has drawn the attention of the Nexus Master, who in an instant is right in front of you. They hit you with a palm strike, and this is what my notes say. I wrote it and I was like, this is dumb, which is usually a good sign. With that palm strike, the Nexus Master rearranges your closure particles, and you feel the same panic that you felt when Bach told you that he had submitted a request to put you back in the control group. You feel the fear of what had happened to Sequence, the uncertainty of your place in the Pinnacle Project in general. So you are going to take an emotional slam of turmoiled. It's a verb now. Sure. But I think your slam boxes are also full.
Yeah, nope. Nope to that. I'll mark my 2 trouble, and I think we had established that Helix and Sequence had rode over on Cobrakin.
Yeah.
I think Cobrakin pushes them out of the way at the last second.
Oh, absolutely. Cobrakin sort of like bucks and knocks you and Sequence onto the platform behind it. The Nexus Master sort of redirects their attack, punches Cobrakin square in the head, light surrounds it, it shrinks and shrinks and shrinks and shrinks. It's Adderkin, and then it zhoops into the Daibo Vice at Sequence's hip.
As it's devolving, it's like, Brably, I've been a bad Daibokin. Our bond, Brably.
Yeah, it's feeling the emotional turmoil.
All those people in Popularia. Oh, what have I done?
Helix is in a pretty bad way, and so is Sequence, just for convenience. But team, we're in trouble. I don't know how much more I can take of this, which is to say my trouble box. If I take another trouble, I peel back. If I take another slam, I peel back. Which is why I was saving my kick.
Except you don't, because you're an Operaeblum, so something bad's gonna happen.
Which is why I was saving some of my kicks and turbos to be able to do Flicker Switch when this inevitably happens again. That's all I got.
The Nexus Master is sort of looming over you, Helix and Sequence, and then you see a glowing scythe puncture the thin air and slice through and open up, and through it you see, it's like a portal, and through it you can see the other platform. Hands leaps through, fanny pack open, and engulfs the Nexus Master in his Voidware fanny pack. Then the pack tears. The Nexus Master bursts out of the other side, and it basically explodes in a kaleidoscopic cacophony of light. And the Nexus Master grabs the broken Voidware pack, swoops it over hands, rushes over and swoops it over Decembria and Mondo, and they disappear.
Vox there.
Well, that's the last of the NPCs to take hits for us, huh?
Yeah.
Throughout all this action that's been happening with everybody moving, Trev 4 has actually had a little bit of trouble processing, aside from his overclocked hardware. And Trev is also picking up that ionic energy, and ionic energy classically messes up machines the most. It's real bad. That's what will toast, microchips and all that kind of thing. So he doesn't really know what to do. He doesn't know how to fight this. And he's been slowly making his way towards this platform. I'm actually going to roll now, and then you can decide what happens.
If you fall off the platform?
Yeah. Whatever happens. I'll roll first. I'm going to roll a kick for my attitude, along with a D6 for my attitude, so I'll have 2D6. And Trev 4 has been moving forward with a certain device in his sights. I rolled a 4 and a 5. So,
all right, mixed success. You get your attitude back.
Yeah.
And with the kick, you mark 2 spots on the progress track. With the problem, there is a spot marked on the danger track. That's 3 out of 5 on the danger track. Describe this play.
Okay. Trev is actually going this separate way, and on these platforms, there's construction equipment, right?
There's the destroyed Martin units all around you, so anything they were using against you
is also available.
They're to varying degrees of functionality.
I'm going to pitch one.
Yeah.
So they're building up. They're getting ready to put these beams together and all that kind of stuff to connect the bases, and maybe they're starting to lay down some concrete already.
Yep.
And this is wacky, fun sci-fi land. So I'm wondering, when you're laying down bricks, you got to put the mortar down, and they'll take a trowel and put a big blop of mortar, and then they put it down. And they have that, on a large degree to put that little plap of mortar down.
They just splap the concrete onto the...
And they plap it. It's the mortar that's going to kind of like connect the actual cement things that they're going to put down.
It's a special mixture. It's extremely gloopy when you blap it down. Once you spread it, it's hard as rock. Yeah.
You do have to spread it out and everything, but that's what maybe one of the Martin units does. So I'm going to get onto this thing, and this big device that you can sit in, and it looks like a large cannon, but it looks also like a little bit like a cement mixer kind of a thing, so it like looks large and bulky, and not just anybody can go into this thing.
No.
But
obviously.
Trevor, with a little bit of hot wiring and like putting certain generic codes, is able to access it and lines up this thing. And instead of putting it down onto the framework that's laid down, he decides to turn it and rotate it. That Voidware backpack that has voiped the other people away has left the Nexus Master by themselves and just like a whoop and like is flying towards the Nexus Master. It's about to land onto the Nexus Master. It maybe covers them. They are looping with all of this mortar of whatever mixture it is.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it hits like part of them.
Yeah.
And I did establish that it is like fast acting. So as it like gloops onto the Nexus Master, it hardens. And like their sort of like left arm and left half of their body is like encased in this like hard rock-like covering, and they sort of like pitch to the side for a second as they're sort of affected by this change to their like weight in space. Then they recover with some effort. They're sort of now trying to compensate for this extra casing on their left side. They sort of angle towards you, angling their left side. Now they have like kind of a shield.
Sure.
And I think for your complication, they sort of charge forward, hard side towards you. So they're kind of like throwing a battering ram at you, basically. And I think maybe I'll just leave it at that, actually. So you're going to get battered as a slam, but your slam boxes are full.
You're sending this battering ram of
concrete and highly trained, multidisciplinary martial artist at you, yes.
Sure. And it's coming up towards me there.
Yeah.
And it's probably like big and huge, this javelin, I imagine.
Like it's still
ram.
Nexus Master sized.
They're not throwing something at you, they're throwing themselves at you.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, then I'm going to mark a turbo to use my omniscience aperture. I can see through walls, into objects, and all around you. Also mark one turbo to avoid dodgeable slams.
Oh.
Very good.
That is a dodgeable one. The one I threw at you. Good job.
It's probably coming pretty fast, and then and normally, like from such a distance, you'd be able to get it, but it's going pretty quickly. Trev's like, despite all the fuzz on his radars and vision and all that kind of stuff, is able to get down and duck underneath the machine and platform, and
they sort of swoop past you, arc up, and try to sort of correct themselves back sort of towards the center, seeking out their next target. They are definitely moving slower. They are moving slightly more erratically as they're trying to compensate for this encasing on their left side. So they've been taking a bit of a beating. Just to quickly check in, we have 5 marks remaining on the Nexus Master progress track and 2 marks remaining on the Prune Danger track.
I think in this moment where the Nexus Master was pulling back and sort of moving off to the side, it almost kind of triggers, if anyone's played XCOM, like an Overwatch situation. Since Carson wasn't directly fighting with it, he was sort of waiting off to the side to line up a shot. And as it's pulling back, that's the open window to start firing from a distance on the Nexus Master. And I think because we've established that Wolt's doing the Jaeger drifting sort of motion as well. He's also going to be shooting his pistols at the same time.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Love this.
So this is just going to be another weapons roll, but with ranged weapons as opposed to melee.
You got your 2d6. Are we adding anything else?
Yes, I think I will take a dare in the form of giving you a bite to get a kick.
Okay.
So I will be rolling 2d6 with a kick. I don't think there's any other way I can grab more kick. So this will be 2d6 with 1 kick.
Whew. Here we go.
Oh, no. But it looks cool,
So
though.
this is 2 1s, which is steezy, so I get a style.
Oh, no.
But also, since this is taking shots at this thing from a distance, and Wolt is using his own zero beam pistols as well, I'm going to activate Quirk. For some weird reason, you are good at marksmanship. If this would help with an action, you can spend 1 trouble to upgrade a 1 to 3 result into a 4 to 5 result.
Getting that trait in like run 2 playing video games with Scampykin has been dormant until this crucial moment.
Everything is for a reason.
You mark 2 spots on the progress track, 1 spot on the danger track. Describe these beams.
Yeah, Wolt has actually with this form. He's only using 1 of his twin pistols, and in his left hand he's holding it out, and he starts firing his little metallic, almost quicksilvery shots toward the Nexus Master. But Carson Nightkin, floating in the air still, levels his large crab cannon. The claw opens up, and just this huge cannon like gyroscopes out, just like gunk 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 gunk, in a way that makes no sense, but is very cool.
Yeah.
And he calls out, "Carcinization cannon!" and just fires lob after lob of huge shells directly at the Nexus Master.
Amazing. It is just an absolute barrage of lasers and lobs, and most of them absolutely do connect. Some of them connect with the sort of shield on the Nexus Master's left side, but a lot of them do connect with the Nexus Master themselves, so they're sort of reeling back from the force of these attacks. And then they start spinning their poleaxe in like sort of a figure 8 moulinet pattern across their body, and now some of these attacks are being redirected back at you. You're getting pelted by lasers, Woldton. You're gonna take a slam.
Oh, so this is a lasers type slam?
I did say lasers.
Oh, well, thanks to my knockoff Scramcat tee, which I've styled as a vintage indie print of the Wix t-shirt, I can avoid slams from lasers and other electromagnetic energy for 1 trouble.
Perfect.
I'm gonna do that.
Good, and that leaves you with 1 empty trouble box. If that gets marked, it's disaster time, baby.
Uh-oh.
Wow.
Speaking of 1 empty trouble box, Helix is also going to get in on this just slugfest. The Nexus Master, they're down on the platform with us, right? I'm in melee range.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I'll maybe say that Wolt and Carson Nightkin's attacks, while the Nexus Master is deflecting them, maybe they're like moving back and they are within range of you.
Great.
Oh, just like punching them, sliding them
back.
Yeah.
So Helix is beaten up. He's got the scrapes and bruises. He can see that we're on the end. Nothing to do but just to try to like pummel this thing into submission. And he's thinking in his brain, like, what was the most brutal physical attack he's ever seen? And he starts thinking back to Stunts episodes, all the really messed up ways that they've brutalized their body and like bludgeoned each other. And he just settles on to the last episode he watched, which was a little stunt called the Jackhammer Pogo Stick. And I'm just going to use the Photon Exciter, roll the damage things, you grind, slide, or just smack with your board. And he's going to go activate Photon Exciter, X and Y axis. And basically his board it looks like a pogo stick up and down, but with a jackhammer like point at the bottom of it. He's going to run, do a great, running leap. He's got sick vert because he's a physical perfecting boy. And midair, he is going to come down on the Nexus Master with a jackhammer pogo stick and just try to with hard light as hard as he can. I'm going to add so I got the D6. I'm going to add a D6 from my attitude and a D6 from the hype
Yes, yeah.
and a D6 from my hard light board. So that's 4. I am saving my last D6 if I need to flicker switch. So I am now truly out.
Yeah.
I have 1 save my ass left. Every other roll I make is going to be raw D6s.
Do you have a kick on there?
No. I have
There's
D6.
no kick to spare.
There's no kick to spare. I have D6s.
And you can't take a dare or anything?
I cannot take it. I mean, I could give Laena a bite, but didn't we? How many prunes do we have left? 2?
1.
Then I can't even give Laena a bite.
Yeah.
There is no kick. I appreciate
So
the thought, but I've been sitting here this whole
You just
time.
have to succeed, and we have to then succeed again.
Yes,
Yeah.
I've been mathing this out. I'm like, where can I get some kick? And I simply cannot.
Okay.
So that's why I'm going 4d6 so that I just get the 6.
Oh my god, I'm so nervous.
Yeah.
Oh.
A 1, a 4, a 4, and a 6.
A 6!
Oh.
A 6! You mark 1 spot on the track. Let's
I'm
go.
Helix Pinnacle, and this is the hard light jackhammer pogo stick. And this, if Wolt's lasers were pushing the Nexus Master back, now they're getting pushed down into the
my
concrete. I think
God.
there's like a dent in this platform.
And I think the justification for this only marking 1 spot, not damaging the Nexus Master as much, is you just fully chip off all of that concrete that has encased their left side.
And eventually loses vertigo on the pogo stick because
Yeah.
it's not really balanced attack.
No!
And sort of falls backwards on his little tuchus. And anyone else got to play?
The Nexus Master is prone on the concrete.
Whew. So we have 2 spots left to mark on Nexus Master.
Yep.
But we only have 1 spot left on Prune.
Yeah.
We've
Yeah.
still got to get E and R without getting the E in prune. So we need 2 unequivocal successes from, I don't know, the last 2 people haven't taken a turn yet this go around.
So Trev, after, taking cover from the attack from the Nexus Master, and the Nexus Master is face down, Trev jumps and holds on to a couple of the limbs of the Nexus Master, engages the heavy-duty servos to try to, lock them in place. Maeveline, attack! I'll hold them in place as long as I can, and just, trying to engage it as, my senses are being blurred out because I'm so close to that ionic axe.
Yeah.
I can't see anything. I can't do anything. I am just stopping and engaging my halting any movement.
So this is going to be a team roll between the 2 of us to try and get this thing all the way there. Do you have any resources you can give or no?
The only one I can give you is a D6.
Wonderful. So Maeve has been seeing how all of these attacks have been going and we're making progress. We're knocking down this track, but also we're not making as much progress as we should be. We're firing ray guns at it, and a lot of it is deflecting off the armor. Helix hits it with a jackhammer, and it mostly takes out the concrete. We're chipping away, but it's not we're doing big swings, and it's just not getting through this goddamn arborist armor is in our way. And Maeve thinks about how we could overcome this, and pulls on her arborist knowledge for any ideas for how to defeat this ultimate arborist. And she reaches in to her voidware pocket in her jacket and begins walking towards the Nexus Master as Trev holds it in place. And I'm going to put everything on this last roll.
Okay.
But I do want to invoke Patient when you reveal how you've been waiting to get plus 1d6 or 1 kick on your action. So I'm not going to say what this attack is until that last moment when Maeve gets in range. With the hope that I can use that to add a kick to this roll.
Okay, what else are you adding?
I've got my base D6. I've got a D6 from Trev. Thank you very much. I'm going to add my last D6 from my attitude. And what do we got in the hype pool?
2d6.
2d6 left.
Throw them all on?
Yeah.
So with that, I believe that gets us to 5d6 and 1 kick. If I mark a trouble to take a dare, can I add 1 more kick for an additional effect that I will reveal at a later time?
Because that first extra kick is to clear the progress
Just to
track.
clear the progress track, to mark 2. But an additional effect.
Mark that trouble.
All right.
Okay,
It all comes down to this.
let's get this roll.
5d6, 2 kick. 3, 4, 4, 5, and 6.
6.
Got 1.
Yeah!
So
Take it home.
Trev is holding the Nexus Master in place, glitching out due to the ionic energy. His face is like distorting and like bad VHS tracking, pixelating
Data
and
mosh,
stuff. Data
yeah.
mosh on his face. And Maeve is just walking determinedly towards, hand in the pocket, reaching around in the voidware pocket to find what she's looking for. And as she gets in close, she pulls her hand from her pocket and reveals the dagger, the arborist untethering dagger that she stole all the way back. The whole reason she's in the arborist is because she tried to steal this dagger.
Maeveline Xandross!
And she's betting hard that, because she knows where it's kept, she knows where it is. They, took it back from her. So she's betting hard that maybe some arborist technology will be able to get through this arborist armor and get us that last hit that we so desperately need. And she raises... she clasps 2 hands around the hilt, one from each arm, and raises it high above her head, and then just drives it straight down into the back of the Nexus Master, and plunges it through the armor and into the heart of this thing.
So the way that this untethering dagger works is much the same way that the Nexus Master's ionic poleaxe works.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't deal physical injuries. It sort of affects your core quantum being. It shifts your reality.
And I want to be very clear, Maeve does not know how to do an untethering ritual. She is not trained in that. She's not trying to untether the Nexus Master. She assumes it's already untethered.
Mm-hmm.
She's dealing damage here. Like, she wants to take this thing out.
You plunge this dagger into the back of the Nexus Master, and it cleanly pierces the armor. You can really feel it connect up to the hilt. You let go, leaving the dagger in their back. They stagger forward, and then their movements start to become erratic. And at first you're not quite sure what's going on. They get slammed by a tide of water, and you don't know where it came from. You see chars and scorch marks bloom all over their armor. Sand, magenta sand, whips all around them. And then they start getting whipped by branches that aren't there, but you can see the sap and the chlorophyll, the golden chlorophyll from the leaves leave marks along their armor. They get covered in just absolute stinky sludge. And they stumble forward as they are going through this barrage of attacks from every dimension. And they lose their footing and topple off the edge of the platform and into the fog.
And with my kick that I marked for an additional effect, am I able to grab their pole arm from them before they tumble?
Yes.
Cool. The additional effect I want is just we got to get down to Trinity Municipark, but for flavor, I like the idea if maybe we do so by opening a close range rift.
Maeve did have 2 hands free.
That's true.
Yeah. 2 for stabbing, 2 for grabbing.
That's the Maeveline Xandross way.
Hey! And you all hear on the various Daibo Vices scattered amongst the 4 of you, Goldstar Disaster, it's probably... you gotta hurry, please. It looks like they might almost be done. You gotta get down here as fast as you can.
And Maeve spins this pole arm around and does a little flourish with it and is like, not a problem, Brabley. And then in her head is like, hope this works, and tries to slash a rift in reality. She's focused. She's, using all of her arborist meditation skills, attuning to the dimension, focusing on the image of Trinity Municipark, on the sort of thin zone there where the fabric between realities gets weak, and tries to focus on that and slice a tear through the local space-time to get down to the lower level.
You swing this polearm. I think it's not a weapon that you are necessarily used to. And I think that throughout the course of this season, Maeveline has become quite a proficient arborist. But this is also the ultimate arborist weapon that you have absolutely zero training in.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to say that you do open this rift. But it's not a rift that you can just step through casually and then step out into Trinity Municipark. You see it open in the center between the 3 platforms.
Looks like we're gonna have to jump.
Helix picks himself up off the ground. Oh God, Maeveline, that's incredible. Hi.
I mean, thank Trev. He was the one who gave me the opening. You all right there, buddy?
It could be better. I hate Mondays.
Congratulations all. You fought valiantly. We've proven what a great team we all are. Carson Aiken lands down on a platform and just in a big celebration starts blowing large bubbles out of his arm cannon, enveloping people. And the bubbles are big enough that we all start floating toward this portal in the middle of the towers.
You're floating overhead. All you need to do is drop.
We kind of line up the shot, kind of, trying to get the level right. And I think we're directly above it now. All right. And Maeve uses that same pole arm to pop.
Yeah, Helix pops his bubble with his hard light board. I think Sequence can stay up here and maybe take an elevator down, but...
Sure, yeah.
See you at the bottom.
And as you drop into this portal, I need one more roll from each of you. Let's get a disaster roll. For each empty trouble box, roll 1 die. So if I'm not mistaken, Helix has rolled with 1 die, Trev 4 has rolled with 2, Maeve has rolled with 4, Wolt has rolled with 1. Did we get any 6s?
Yes, sirree.
on the 1 die.
That's all it needs. That's all it needs.
Talk about lucky.
Motherfucker.
the one with the least amount of die.
Mark a style. Easy street. Easy game for babies.
Wow.
Any 4s or 5s?
Yo.
Yes.
Mark a trouble.
One trouble?
1 trouble.
I have 1 trouble left.
Oh. Any 1s, 2s, or 3s?
2.
For Helix, disaster strikes. Woldton, you step through the portal into Trinity Municipark, and it is a lot more crowded than it's been previously. All around you, you see arborists, most of whom you don't recognize, but you do recognize Forester Tarmant, with other arborists stationed around him in the same sort of Forester robes. They're fancier and have a bigger symbol on the back. Where the thin zone to Prismatia is, you don't see it open. Instead, you see what's kind of looks like a glowing purple line, almost like a stitch mark. And they appear to be in the middle of something, and you appear to be alone. What do you do?
Wait, is it too late? Wait, where did everybody... hello?
Woldton, what are you... You can't be here right now.
Yes, I can. Well, regardless of if I can, I am. I'm here. What are you doing? Is this the pruning thing?
Yes, they're trying to prune the dimension! What, where's Maeveline? Where's Maeveline?
I don't know. I don't know what happened.
He's back to Scampikin.
Yeah, he expended all his energy.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. That makes sense. Absolutely. Yes, we are in the process of pruning Operaeblum from
the larger multiverse. This decision has not come lightly. Operaeblum is in a dangerous and volatile place, and we need to make the decisions that will protect the multiverse at large.
Well, I know things were on their way to something very, very volatile, but I think we've figured it out. We stopped the construction of Triskelion base that was not really focusing on our dimension, that was going to sacrifice so many people. We're trying to make things right. There were a lot of people acting without Operaeblum's best interests at heart, but we really just want this place to be good. What were your reasons behind this? What prompted this decision?
You don't understand. Operaeblum has been in a volatile place for a very, very long time. And the forester next to Tarmant steps forward and addresses you. We have been keeping an eye on Operaeblum for a long time. Woldton, was it?
Yes.
I am the High Forester. I oversee everything that the Arborists do throughout the multiverse. And we have been watching Operaeblum for a very long time. And things have been dangerous and volatile.
You weren't watching when we just beat the crap out of the Nexus Master, were you?
As you say that, Trev 4, you enter Trinity Munipark. The portal was a little bit funky and didn't quite get all of you exactly where you needed to be. So you were close, but a little bit off. Where did you come from?
So the portal had opened up in the junkyard where like you have a bunch of remaining dead.
Captain Scrap's stack of crap?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, okay.
I wound up
Scrap
in there and just like was buried in amongst all the other different robot parts where like another maintenance droid who's just supposed to be an inventory checker is there, and I had to do this whole thing where it's just like the maintenance worker thought I was a dead robot part that is supposed to be there, and I'm trying. But I am not dead. I am still a living robot.
But you are in the pile of dead robots.
But how would I be dead if I am talking to you right now?
Your talking is very glitchy. You look like you've been through the ringer.
That is a good point.
This continues for a
Am I dead? And then I had like a mini existential crisis of did I die? And no, I think I'm alive.
Let's do a robot version of that bit from Holy Grail. I feel better.
And so, like, I eventually was able to make my way past it. I had to sign off that I am still alive and working robot. But I come through, beaten up, dents all over my thing. There's a crack in my visor and all this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I walk in, see everybody here. Don't worry. I believe I'm still alive.
The High Forester and Tarmant and some of the other arborists just like kind of look at you, Trev. And then the High Forester kind of like looks back at Wolt and says, "We've been watching you ever since you went to Popularia for the first time. We knew that your presence would impact things here in Operaeblum, and we feared it would be for the worse. You are young. You are newly formed crew from your 3 towers, and we feared that things would become complicated. We were surprised, pleasantly surprised at the work that you did. But this, destroying Triskelion base, this symbol of unity for Operaeblum, I understand why you did it, but not everyone will. They see this as an attack, and the towers could further isolate. Things have just gotten much, much more difficult when they already were difficult to begin with."
At this, Maeve comes stumbling into the room and says, "The only thing Triskelion base was a symbol of is the Arborist's failure!" And she's running in, kicking off a couple of large Operaroaches, which are Operaeblum cockroaches, as we've established. She ended up somewhere in Lansdowne Tower in one of the floors that is being retrofitted with air purifiers, but like in a nest of operaroaches, and had to like shake them off and get her way out, so that like her hair is all like tangled and matted, and she's sweaty and gross when she comes stumbling in. I was like, I have things to say.
Maeveline.
The only thing it's a symbol of is your failure to carry out your mission.
Excuse me?
The Arborist's mission is to protect the harmony of the multiverse, not to interfere and control the destiny of dimensions. You're shepherds of the larger multiverse, but you don't steer any dimension to one specific end, right?
Well, no, we don't, but if we see that a dimension is sick, struggling, a threat, we need to address that threat. Do we not?
But that's the thing. Operaeblum is sick because of you. You can't just not intervene. It's not possible. Every action you take has an impact whether you like it or not. Gabor was dead set on building Triskelion base because of the threat of the Arborist, because of the threats of pruning. He was trying to do a symbolic gesture to show the Arborists that we don't need to be pruned. The whole reason it exists, the whole reason that Operaeblum was about to come crashing down was because of the Arborist presence. You guys just being here had an impact on this dimension. You're as responsible for this as anyone else.
This was yours?
Yeah, that's a real interesting interpretation of the Arborist teaching there, Maeveline. I can see you've been brushing up on the old texts.
Carmina? And Maeve kind of shudders a little bit, seeing, the authority figure who is the whole reason she's in the Arborist, but she composes herself and moves on. That's the thing. The Arborists try to present themselves as neutral, as like outside of all of the conflict, but you aren't above it all. You're in it with the rest of us. Everything you do has an impact. Everything anyone does has an impact, and you have to use that impact for the betterment of everyone. If you try and pretend that you're neutral, you're just actively standing in the way.
I suppose your analogy of a shepherd, then, perhaps we're just as much among the flock as anyone else?
Vuxen right, yeah.
I don't know, Maeveline, maybe they do have a point.
What are you saying, Walt?
Thinking back, there's always just been so much trouble, and as much as we've done to try and get the message out there, who knows if the towers will ever really be able to join hands after this, and maybe it is best if we just stay in our own smog-filled dimension and keep to our lane. They are just looking out for the best for everyone, and I guess they're doing a pretty good job of it. And with this, I think I want Walt to reach into his pocket, and he pulls out his Daibo Vice. And he peels off the back of it a Goldstar sticker that had been put there by Trev from long ago. And he steps forward toward the High Forester, and he presses this Goldstar sticker onto his lapel. And with this, I want to invoke Lucky. Once per run, dumb luck helps you. A tree falls on a monster. Lasers miss you as you tie your shoe. You unknowingly give someone a perfect gift.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just something about this gesture shows the openness and the willingness, like an element of humility to know that maybe not everyone has the answers, but you do need to work together and be open to having these discussions and working with others to try and find a better route.
The High Forester looks down at his lapel with the gold star on it. And he looks up at the three of you, and he says, "In this moment, what is the future that you see for Operaeblum?"
I don't think any one tower has it figured out. They're all trying to do what they think is right for the dimension, but they're all coming at it in different ways. Lansdowne wants to try and reverse the damage and rebuild, and Kindred wants to reach out and work together with other dimensions, and Webb wants to adapt and change to overcome the challenge. And I genuinely think that if Operaeblum is going to have a fighting chance, we need to do all three. We do need to come together, but not in the way that Gabor was doing, just as a front, a show to try and trick the Arborists into thinking that we were all playing nice, but genuinely, in the spirit of collaboration, we need to take the best ideas of all three towers and use that to to secure a future for Operaeblum if we are going to have any chance.
Yeah, if we really want anything good to happen for Operaeblum, we don't just need the towers to work together. We need the other dimensions to work with us as well. And if you prune us, that chance disappears.
Besides, if this is all an act of mercy, wouldn't it make sense that we want to protect the citizens here? If everything goes, as they say, balls up.
They do not.
The arborists all look at each other like, is that a phrase? Like, we're all
They
multilingual.
usually say orbs up here. I don't know.
Yeah, is this...
Maeve looks
I don't
at
think this is
Wald and
anything.
like does a big showy nod, like, this is an expression here.
Yeah, right. Balls, yeah.
But I believe it is when they play various games. Anyways, when things go wrong, then wouldn't we need the arborists to help these people escape? Wouldn't you be our way out? Instead of dooming everyone, why wouldn't you want to help us?
Maeve gives a very confrontational look to Tarmint and the arborist, like, yeah, pretty good point.
Well, this is Carmina speaking, the forester responsible for keeping Maeveline, punished but safe.
Yeah.
Hearing the three sentiments from the three of you, looking at the other foresters, she goes, "Well, Maeveline, I think you understand arborism better than I gave it credit for, and I can see some of the more philosophical teachings rubbing off on your cohorts here. We did try to work with Operaeblum. We have been keeping an eye on them for many years, as stated, but I think in the true spirit of arborism, you've made a salient point. Perhaps if there's still hope and determination amongst the four of you, then it's safe to assume citizens of every tower here in Operaeblum might be persuaded to collaborate."
Tarmint looks at the three of you and looks at Maeveline last and holds eye contact as he says, "I think there are a lot of people here in Operaeblum that are a lot like you. And if that is the case, there is more hope here than we give it credit for." And the High Forester looks down again at the gold star on his lapel. And he looks up, and he holds up 2 hands on one arm, and says, "Stop the prune." And all of the arborists in Trinity Municipal Park stand down.
Oh, that got real close, gang. I really could have used our smarts around for that exchange. Someone who could have made a more intelligent and salient point. Where is Helix?
I don't know. I wasn't expecting any of you to show up anywhere else either.
Yeah, something about the portal went sideways. I'm still new with this thing, and Maeve's still gripping the ionic pole axe.
Tarmint walks up to you and holds out 2 hands, like, "Give that to me."
Thoughtful words aside, I cannot abide having you continue to hold that. Please hand that over to me.
Maeve,
give me that.
But I'm marked to kick for an additional effect. She lets it go.
And Carmina's holding it, and
It's banking on a new signature.
Maeve, hide that dagger.
That was in the Nexus Master's back.
Yeah.
And then it's at that moment, an elevator from the web side of the tower. You can see it descending. Doors open up. It's one of the outside ones, and stumbling out of it, there's a bit of a fog. Is Sequence?
Oh.
Yeah, and she rushes out and rushes towards all of you and looks around and says, "You're all here, but where is Helix? Did he not go with you through the portal?"
He did. I'm sure he went through, but we all kind of got spat out in different places. I'm not sure. I must have opened it wrong or not used the pole arm right. I'm new to it. And I guess I'm not going to get any practice now.
Based on the scatter of where I wound up, it is possible that the other ends of the portal would have wound up anywhere in the 3 towers or even in between.
I think we all just spend a silent moment contemplating the awful possibility, both, our characters, but also as players knowing that Liam rolled his disaster.
That too. Yeah.
Trev is running all of his sensors. He's trying to expand it all out. I mean, his He's still got that overclocked condition. He's beat up and bad.
You mentioned he did have a crack in his visor, so there's just a black spot.
And he might have died. And I see no sign of Helix's signature within a mile radius. Also, I hate to inform you that Maeveline, I have no sign for Maeveline. We may have lost Maeveline as well.
Trev, I'm right here. I'm standing in front of your face. I'm waving. This is me.
Yes, I have
the two hands in front of your face.
For some reason, memory files of Maeveline are coming up and just giving me noises. I am so sad that we have lost two. Also, I believe Trev is dead. I do not see a signature for Trev.
Is Stanch still around? Is Stanch here? We got to get him to someone who can repair him.
Stanch, it also appears is dead.
As everyone is sort of, they were contemplating the worst, and then Trev has sort of confused the situation, and they're all trying to make heads and tails. Slowly from one of the tower's sides, it doesn't really matter which one, you hear a low, like, it's pretty quiet here on the lower levels. There's a calming, tense, relieved, but still concerned peace washing over the space. And so you can hear something as subtle as a hoverboard hovering. But it seems to be, Doppler effect getting louder.
Yeah.
Slowly. And crawling up the wall is Helix's hoverboard at a perfect vertical angle to the wall, because if you remember, he unlocked the Nega Friction outsoles, and so his hardlight board can climb up walls. And sticking out what would be the Z-axis of the hardlight board is a little platform, so it's basically just like an L going up the wall. Is Helix like kind of half standing, woozy, as he's sort of built his own elevator, hauling him up out of the fog along the wall of one of the towers until he is just above the platform that you would cross, like the bridge to get to Trinity Municipal Park.
As soon as you barely clear the platform, like Sequence has rushed toward the source of the sound, and basically as soon as you are within reach of her, she grabs you and pulls you onto the platform.
And I think in doing so, the hardlight board disconnects and falls into the fog. We didn't grab it, but
was not her priority.
Not her priority. Not anyone's priority. The hardlight board was no one's priority, but the Nega Friction wall climbing hardlight board got him up. Sequence, pulls him down. He's on his knees. He looks terrible. He's all puffy. His eyes are just like not bloodshot, just blood. His face is like swollen. As he coughs, diluted toxic fog comes. Puffs of toxic fog come out.
See it.
I think he grabs onto Sequence's shoulder and like fingernails fall off.
Oh God!
And one of his legs is clearly broken. Maybe a bone sticking out the side. I'm glad I saved that last use of the flicker switch, or I would have pancaked on the ground the towers are built on. I know it's soft, but not that soft.
We all go rushing over and like, Helix, are you, I mean, you're clearly not okay, but did you say you went all the way to the bottom?
God, maybe he is dead.
No, I'm designed to be able to withstand the fog.
I don't know that's, 200 floors ascent is a lot of fog to withstand. I don't know that anyone's built for that.
It seems like you're in distress, and due to my past experiences, I should ask first, would you like some euphorophil?
Give it, God, please. Oh my God, please, yes, please.
And then, like, one of his knuckles bends back, has the needle, and pumps it into you, and you feel that it fills you with, like, positive feelings despite all the pain.
Sequence is kind of kneeling and has your head sort of like cradled on her lap. A couple of arborists have rushed up and are administering the amount of first aid that they can in the moment, given how severe your injuries are.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think he says. You sort of see like a grin, a big dumb grin, like someone just pulled off the stupidest stunt you've ever seen. As the euphorophil hits his brain, and he just. Well, what was your time on the drop? I might have beat it.
Goldstar Disaster. You have halted the construction of Triskelion Base. You have saved the towers of Operaeblum from plummeting into the toxic fog. You have defeated the Nexus Master. And you have stopped the Arborists from pruning Operaeblum from the multiverse. You are battered. You are beat. Some of you are going to need some serious medical attention. But you made it. And the Arborists are willing to work with you to bring Operaeblum together. With that, let's move into some cleanup for this run. Hello there, Goldstar listeners. It's me, Laena, your Slugmaster Game Blaster. Thank you so much for listening to Season 2 of Quantum Kickflip. We had so much fun telling this story for you, and your support and enthusiasm means so much to all of us. If you want to connect with us, one of the best ways to do so is by joining the Wilkie's Candy Lab Discord. Created by Mikey Ham, this server is full of TTRPG enthusiasts who talk new projects, Slugblaster stories, Canadian idiosyncrasies, and more. The link to the Discord is in the show notes of this episode. We look forward to chatting with you. We are at Quantum Kickflip on social media, so you can join us there to stay tuned to future Quantum Kickflip stories. We have a one-shot in the works that we will be releasing shortly after Season 2, so follow us now to make sure you get the updates. You can also support us by visiting patreon.com/quantumkickflip. Now, our Patreon is going to look a little bit different now that Season 2 is done. If you're a current member, monthly billing will be paused, but you will still have access to all of our exclusive bonus content. If you're new to our Patreon and want to support us, we will be releasing our bonus content in bundles that you can purchase through the shop. So you can support us by getting exactly the content you want, such as interviews, outtakes, bonus games, and more. I'd like to thank the Alberta Media Arts Alliance Society for their support of Quantum Kickflip since we started this podcast. Their goal is to advocate, educate, and celebrate the media arts in Alberta. To learn more, head to amaas.ca. Thank you again for listening to this season. It has been an honor to be your Slugmaster Game Blaster. Let's get you back to the action. Let's start with some faction shifts. I'm going to just go ahead and put the Arborists at a +3. I'm going to take that Shimmer from a +3 to a -3. And I think it's fair to maybe leave the towers where they are. Before this run, each tower was at a +2. Helpful, close, caring, enthusiastic. I feel like that still fits. Crew style. Shredders, +3 style on runs where you race, chase, or land big tricks. Ultranauts, +3 style on runs where you find a new world or deal with dimensional weirdness. Punks, +3 style on runs where you leave your mark or make a statement.
That first one and that last one, hell yeah.
Yeah, definitely the last.
That middle one, nah.
I feel like the most dimensionally weird thing was the Nexus Master, but that wasn't really...
That wasn't us doing that.
That's just the nature of...
Oh,
You
wait.
did go through Quahalia for like 3 seconds, though.
Yeah, we went through like a bunch of dimensions to ascend the tower, ending with Quahalia, which was a new dimension that we'd never been to before. I forgot about that. I think we got all 3 of these.
That's 9 style for y'all. Do. So, with all of that crew style you just got, you have 11 style in your crew bank. Now, you can use that to advance your fame track. You did just break to major players, or you can get some of the perks that you have access to as major players. What do we want to do with this style?
So yeah, we could use all of it to push us right up to Rising Stars. or spend it on these little detail ones.
Exactly.
Dig it. We don't need the, +2 style per run from Tastemaker fans. So maybe eponymous, a route, spot, trick, etc. named after the crew. Perhaps between the fact that, Walt did that sick drop a couple episodes ago, and then the fact that we didn't actually drop from Triskelion Base to Trinity Munispark. There were portals involved, but Goldstar Disaster now has a reputation for dropping. Maybe there's like a bit of a trick or something. Like we're just something about dropping or a spot. I don't know.
Yeah. With Triskelion, did you have particular plans with Triskelion Base, or what was occurring?
This is your beat, fam.
Oh,
You do what you want.
Okay. Then I like maybe if it gets repurposed as like almost a similar setup to what Trinity Munispark was.
Like a three-way skyway instead of the start of,
Yeah, instead of being used as like a big industrial base for the continuing of one tower, it's just a three-way park between the towers. Yeah, it's just like it's this multi-use area that is connected with all three towers, and I think it takes on the name Goldstar Landing. In that it's a thing that is sort of dedicated to what happened there based on our crew. But Goldstar Landing also becomes the name for daring Slugblasters who try to recreate that drop from this landing down to Trinity Munispark. Is the Goldstar Landing.
Making the Goldstar Landing. Yeah. I love that.
Wildly reckless that we are encouraging people to actually drop 700 floors, but
I mean, the spot may be named by other people. Like this grew up around you.
Yeah.
Grew up around
and maybe
us.
Triskelion Base gets repurposed as like there's a few more safety features.
Although I love that because I would also pitch, we've got some crew style remaining, and what are we saving it for? It's the finale. I would pitch that we also buy the upgrade Die Hard fans. Fans that will wear your merch in their casket, which gets us +1 legacy each.
They'll be in the casket from trying to do the landing.
Yeah.
I don't want to go super morbid with it, but I like the idea of Die Hard being like, they're literally like, they're reckless thrill seeker Die Hard types. And maybe like our merch is kind of like, if you complete the Gold Star Landing, you do have a Gold Star patch or button or something that you wear to show people that like, oh, I did the thing. I did the Gold Star Landing. And that's our sort of the symbol of our Die Hard fans.
So each of these beats is going to pay out 1 legacy to each of you. So Mark II Legacy, what are we going to call these?
Goldstar Landing.
Yeah.
Goldstar Landing for sure.
Goldstar Fans.
That's a fun like paired set. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Nice.
Or Goldstar Status, maybe, because like if it is this sort of patch that you only get, like look, any asshole can put a patch on their jacket if they want, but it's sort of this like respect amongst Slugblasters, like don't put that on.
Unless you've done the thing.
When I knew a woman who was learning ballet, and there was a big thing of like, yeah, you can go buy point shoes, but like technically you're not supposed to get point shoes until you can use them properly.
Yeah.
Like you can go buy a trophy. But like,
Yeah. With that, let's move into some downtime.
So despite the fact that Goldstar Disaster was able to work despite all these corporations working against them and all that kind of stuff, and they kind of usurped them, that doesn't mean corporations are going to stop corporating. So they, Goldstar Disaster gets more and more popular. They're the kind of talk of the town, and one of the ways that Kindred takes advantage of this is they see that, like, hey, these Trev 4 units, like Trev 4 is so popular. And then there's talk about like Slugblaster teams like kind of wanting a Trev unit on their thing, but they don't have any more Trev 4 units.
Yeah.
Like they're all junk. So what they're going to do is start reissuing Trev 4 units.
Trev Classics?
Yeah, Trev Classics.
Oh, yes.
A new Beetle situation.
Yeah, like it's going to be like, but of course it is not the same design. Like all the positives from the Trev 4 unit, which is the thing that it's like not cloud updating or whatever, you have to plug them in. Like it has a lot of the drawbacks. They're not great units. Like they're not as good as what Trev 4 is, but they try to have some of the aspects.
They have extra RAM at least.
They have extra RAM, and like it doesn't quite look like a Trev 4 unit, but they have like
too many pixels in their interface. Yeah.
Yeah, they try to update it, but it's because of this, slug blasters do on occasion use them, especially when they're short a person on their team. And they need they'll buy a Trev 4.
They're almost like a new signature device.
Yeah.
Like it's this thing that like, in the suite of things you need to go slug blasting, a space-time ampimeter, a ray gun, a Trev 4 unit from Operaeblum.
They can see into energy beacons and all this kind of stuff. Like they just, it just becomes more popular that way. So
This feels like if Apple tried to come out with a flip phone.
yeah. Yeah, it's like...
Well, if a flip phone saves the world, I'm sure they would.
Yeah, so Trev 4 Classic is what I'll name my legacy.
Yes, because this is a you earned it beat, yeah?
You earned it beat, yeah. So I get a legacy, and I'll call it Trev 4 Classic.
Beautiful.
I think we open on a shot in a familiar neighborhood on level 303 of Kindred Tower. We're in the neighborhood just outside of Wolt's apartment, and the camera sort of moves through the streets with the neon lights and all of the signs, and we see the front stoop where there's a little, it's like a, they don't have like coffee grounds, but it's some sort of weird future coffee grounds tin where he puts the ashes from his death sticks.
Yeah.
And then we go in through the door, and it's just Wolt arriving home to a familiar scene in the kitchen, a red blinking light on the answering machine. He walks over, he presses play, and we hear a little message and update from his parents.
Hey there, champ. Hey, so I guess you did pretty good with your slug borsting there, and hey, sorry couldn't make it. I know we were going to like go for a dinner or whatever, but I got caught up. This paperwork, kid, it doesn't end. And I was like, I need to finish this before I do anything else. And especially before I go on my trip to Null and see Trooper. So look, I can't stick around much, kid. But you know where you can find the food. Feel free to order something in. Get yourself something special. I don't know. Do you still like chicken nuggets? Is that... Anyways, kid, you way to do so well with your slug borsting, and kid, I love you, despite the fact that I don't see you very much. Just know that I love you.
Beep. Woldton, Wick, you have caused so much trouble for your father and I. There have been all these new contracts and agreements being drawn up in human-robot relations. Do you know how much we program into these robots? These are ironclad contracts. We can't do anything. And the marketing department, your father is up to his eyeballs in work. I don't know when he's going to be able to come home and have any downtime whatsoever. So, needless to say, you're grounded. I can't be there to enforce it, and neither can your father. So, I guess this is an honor system grounding, Woldton. You're in so much trouble, young man, and I hope that the tone of my voice conveys that, even though I am not there. But also, I think you did a really good thing with your slug bashing, so it seems like things are really looking up, maybe. So I'm really proud of you, but you are in serious trouble. There's pasta pellets in the fridge for you.
They're called gnocchi.
No, this is Operaeblum. They're called pasta pellets.
And don't wait up. I love you.
Beep.
And at this moment, a hand reaches into frame and presses the clear button. And it's not Wolt's hand, but Maeve, who's been in the kitchen with him listening to these messages.
Man, is it always like this? Your folks are just never here, and they don't seem to know much about each other, let alone you. They seem to have vastly different ideas about your dad's workload.
Yeah, it's always kind of been that way, but you know, there's still love there.
That's nice. And hey, I guess one of the perks of your parents never being home is, your parents aren't home.
Yeah, there's love there. Like, maybe there's still some love here as well. I heard there's some
pasta pellets in the fridge.
I didn't want to break the mood, but I was very excited about those pasta pellets.
And as they're leaning in closer, and Scampykin dims the lights in the kitchen, the doorbell rings.
Classic wingman Scampy.
Ding dong!
Why does your doorbell sound like your cousin?
Wait, no, it doesn't. I think that's just my cousins.
We're outside.
And Wolt goes and opens the door, and in come the Wicks.
In come the Wicks. They have. I struggle to name pasta pellets, and now I'm gonna shoot myself in the foot. They are bringing food in for you.
Infinite pizza.
They bring infinite pizza. Aww. Absolutely, all the hits.
Oh, you guys, you shouldn't have.
Well, we did. Here we go. We're coming in.
Doorbell noise file missing. And it's Trev 4 walking up, and he, of course, has a bunch of needles with all injectable pop that you just put in straight into your vein. And you don't taste the soda. You just had the feeling that you drank a soda like a half hour
You
ago.
get so burpy.
Yeah.
Like refreshed and burpy.
The memory of the flavor of cream soda.
Yeah.
Wolt, I have come with a fresh batch. Oh, look, everybody is here.
Oh, nice. You brought soda pricks.
Some states call it prick pops. It's a whole thing.
It depends on which tower you're in. We don't go there.
Oh, gosh, I guess there's a bit of a party going on.
And I guess if we're all joining, instead of a doorbell, you actually just hear this like... and Helix comes around the corner. He is on the mend from having been disaster rolled himself into the gas. I think he is lost all of his hair, including his eyebrows. May or may not come back. I think I said his fingernails fell off. So you can't. You're not that anyone's looking directly at his fingertips, but if you did, you'd see fingerless fingernails. He's maybe walking
Fingernail-less fingers?
Fingernail-less fingers.
Yeah, there you go. Floating fingernails.
Walking with the aid of a cane, because I think I mentioned he had injured his legs, like bones or stuff, for hanging out. And moreover, he's got like a very subtle breathing apparatus helping his lungs. I'm kind of thinking kind of like the Fremen in Dune. Like it's not like a person, like an old person in our world walking around with like an oxygen tank.
Yeah.
It's much more like slick and maybe even unnoticeable. But he is breathing with the aid of an external lung situation. And hacks a big cough as he walks in. Sorry, hello. I'm Trev said there was going to be pizza.
Oh, yeah, totally. Here, take a chair, Helix.
I brought pouches. I brought slime pouches.
Oh,
and he hands out like Capri Sun beverages.
Yeah.
Oh, we already
good
have soda pricks. Oh well, that's always good to have more beverages.
Yeah.
you know, sometimes it's nice to have the actual feeling of liquid in the mouth, so I appreciate it.
I've actually lost that sensation. Doc says it'll be another month or two.
Oh,
Maeve hands you a syringe.
Oh, great, yeah. Lemon.
Why are the lights so dim? Let's get some lights on in here.
oh, yeah, Scampy, change them to party lights.
And then Trev comes in. Don't worry, I have the music. Kindred.
And now it's no longer just a romantic dinner of pasta pellets. It's a whole party going on. And in amongst the crowded room, Wolt sort of calls across to Maeve. My parents may not be home, but everybody else is.
Maeve just kind of smiles back at him. She's not too burned about losing out on this alone time. This pizza, she's happy.
This beat was reconnecting. The end of the loneliness track. You get help from the person you needed most. Is it who you expected? -2 doom, -1 fracture, +1 legacy or trait.
All right. I don't think there are any fractures to take away at this point.
Okay.
And
Unprecedented.
I know. Wild. Y'all have gotten along so well. I think the doom I want to take away is family dinner and I voxed up.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And you get a legacy.
Actually, you know what? We're just going to slide family dinner from doom over to legacy. It's taken on a new meaning.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even though Wolt hasn't necessarily grown closer with his parents, I think he's just reached a new level a level of understanding and acceptance of what their relationship is, and he knows he has support from other people, and it's shaped up in his life in a way that feels more comfortable to him, and he's finally settled into that.
I love that. And I also love that this whole track started with this empty house and ended with reconnecting.
Oh, with
and
a
this
full
house isn't empty anymore. Yeah. Helix. You are with Sequence and your counterpart, Helix B, making your way through floor 5 of Web Tower towards the Pinnacle project. And when you arrive there, you find that the place has been absolutely decimated. Beyond the wreckage and havoc that Mogi and Shart were able to unleash upon the place. You go through the main reception area into the workstations and find that they have been destroyed. You look into the back offices and you find they have been destroyed. And you start to get an idea of what Sequence was alluding to when she said that she was going to meet you at Triskelion Base from Trinity Municipark, but she had to make a quick stop at the Pinnacle project. You begin to put together what she might have done.
I feel like you were working something out that couldn't be provided through tubes and injections.
You could say that.
Was it cathartic?
Yes. Very, very cathartic.
Vux, yeah.
But why are we here? I did all of this somewhat under the pretense that I would turn my back and never return, but you wanted to come back here. Why?
I needed to speak to Ginevra, and I think it fair he does too. And Helix B is like, yes, I would like to meet the person responsible for my previous life experience.
And almost on cue, a door from the back room opens, and in walks Ginevra.
As she walks out of the doorway, I think Ginevra looks the least put together you've ever seen her. Like she's always been the type to be like, you know, immaculate presentation, very calm, very neutral, very in control. And I think that is shot all to hell in this moment. There is not even an illusion, a facade of control here. Her hair is unkempt and her glasses are askew, and her lab coat is not evenly, you know, it's one side is slightly off with the other side. And it's a, you know, to anyone else, she actually still looks pretty put together, but for Ginevra, it's a lot. And she comes stomping out of the door and is like, well, I hope you are proud of yourselves. I assume all of you had a hand in this.
We did. And Helix isn't looking much better, as we established in Michael's scene. He has no hair. He has no fingernails. He's walking with the aid of a cane. And he is breathing heavily. Meanwhile, Helix B looks like Helix did almost at the beginning of the season, like extra squeaky
center parted
clean,
hair.
but even more so, like even with a little bit of shine. And then
fresh out of the tube.
And then split the difference for Sequence. Yes, I rather am proud of what we've accomplished here.
To what end? I know you and I have never seen eye to eye, and I've tried to bring you around to my way of thinking, but even if you're right and it's going to take all three towers working together to solve the problem that is Operaeblum and the toxic fog, this was Webb's contribution to the solution. This was our way of moving Operaeblum forward, of finding a way past our fate, and now it has been set back immeasurably. How is this in the best interest of the dimension?
You said it there at the beginning. It was your way of thinking. It presumes that you know what's best for everyone. It presumes that your definition of perfect is the perfect needed for the situation. Frankly, it assumes an infallibility on the part of you in the Pinnacle project that I couldn't abide. You're as dumb as the rest of us.
Well, whether I like it or not, you've reduced everything that we tried to do here to ash. So I hope you have a solution for the future of the dimension, because clearly we don't anymore. Do you know how long it's going to take to rebuild the program to what it was, to earn back that progress?
The work you did still has value as a body of data. We don't have to stop what the Pinnacle project was going to. We just need to be open to adaptation to the practice itself, to the study itself. There's so much more this project could have been doing, and instead you were forcing your will onto the problem instead of seeing what the problem needed.
I think she's taken a little aback by this and is like, you would still use the data that we found? You don't? And she kind of turns to Helix B and is like, do you feel the same way about this?
Yes, it seems like sound scientific reasoning. From what I can see, you had a theory and you were doing studies to prove what you wanted to know, but that's not how science works. Take what you know and expand and extrapolate on what it could be. I mean, myself, I'm, if I can be candid, looking forward to finding out what I can be. I'm brimming with potential. So is the Pinnacle project. Don't find where this information takes you. Don't have an end in mind. Don't have perfection in mind and work towards it. Work towards what evolves to be perfection.
And she kind of nods and takes this in. And I think just the fact that, like, the three of you being part of this experiment, being, directly victimized by this operation, are all still open to the possibility that there's scientific merit in it, really does throw her for a loop here. And she's like, perhaps we have been limited in our mindset up until this point. Adaptation is our foremost philosophy in web, and how can we work towards adaptation if we don't adapt our own ways of thinking?
Precisely.
I can't say that I approve of what has happened here, and I don't.
Steps in a puddle of pee as she
winces a little bit. But if it leads to something better, that's Web's entire mandate, is doing whatever it takes to adapt and evolve to better our future, no matter how messy it gets along the way. And she takes a sniff of whatever she's snapped and is like, and it has gotten messy.
It certainly has. I hope you can understand that I will be parting ways from you now.
She has a moment where, like, there's a flash in her eyes, like she's about to, slam on a big red button and summon security, but she sort of shakes it off and is like, I think that's probably for the best for both of us.
And what is ostensibly Helix's mother figure, who has been part of raising him since he was crawled out of the petri dish. He is sort of having this, like, come to an understanding, a form of forgiveness, and very stoically puts out a fist and gives her a very cold, professional fist bump.
She returns your fist bump equally diplomatically and heads back off into her offices to go mop up more piss.
He turns around, he goes to his makerspace. It's not in disrepair, it's just kind of maybe in better condition than all the other ones. And miraculously, through all of the scorpions and chaos and slugblasters, his bonsai tree is still standing, and he grabs the pot and takes it with him out of the makerspace back to, I guess, home.
Can I offer that, like, it's undamaged, it made it through the thing, but it is in some way
disheveled,
like asymmetrical.
Yeah.
That it is no longer the perfect symmetrical tree that he'd been growing. It's forever marked by this, much like Helix himself.
Oh, sick. Okay, yeah. I think, there's a chunk of it's maybe like scorched or like acided or something.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, there's like an acid burn.
And it's very aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah. Nice. Tell me about this beat.
That was Redemption, the end of the Family Beats arc. Who makes the first move towards forgiveness? What's changed? How will you treat each other differently? -2 Doom, +1 Legacy or Trait.
Nice. I think the Doom I am going to take away is going to be under control and out of sequence.
Sure.
What do we want to call this Legacy?
2.0.
Adaptation.
Yeah, I like adaptation.
Nice.
Because it implies that there is no pinnacle. It is this ongoing. To try to say that there is some kind of defined pinnacle of evolution is to ignore how evolution works. There'll be a better one tomorrow. That's not how evolution works, right?
Yeah, I like that a lot. Nice.
We find Maeve in Popularia in a building we haven't seen before in the run of the show. She is wandering through the austere hallways of a boarding school, and it is luxe. It is very like prim and proper, but also it's still Popularia, so everything's like dialed up to 11. So there's like black and white marble checkerboard floors and big elaborate statues lining the hallway and sconces and vaulted ceilings.
Pillars with the vaulted ceilings. Yeah.
And Maeve is wandering through, and all of these students are in very like monochromatic black and white like school uniforms with long skirts and high socks and
high heels.
This is St. Augustona Gunstasius's Academy for Exceptional Young Ladies. Maeve is consulting her phone, kind of trying to find a sense of direction and making her way through the hallway, looking at the little signs outside the rooms, looking for a particular dormitory, which she ultimately does find and enters to find K-Jump, laid up in bed after having peeled back on their most recent adventure. Wow, this was not what I pictured when I pictured your situation. Wow.
Can you talk just like a little tiny bit quieter, please? K-Jump has like, in cartoons when character get a headache and it's like that classic like heat pack or like the pack on the head.
Like a water bottle.
Hot water bag. Yeah, she's got that on her head. She's got sunglasses on. She is laid up in bed.
Yeah. So you like live here, or this is your school, or both? What is going on with this place?
Yeah, it's like a dorm situation. Speaking of, you would have had to know my name to find me. You are not going to reveal that to anyone, right?
Oh, come on, I have to.
No,
it's so good.
Maeveline, no, please.
All right.
K-Jump's all I have. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm getting pretty good grades here, but like, K-Jump's all I have.
All right, your secret's safe with me, Kennedine. So, listen, I wanted to come check on you after everything that happened with the Nexus Master. I would say how you been, but I can see how you been, and it looks rough. Is there anything I can do?
I mean, it's peel back. It's gonna hurt for a while. It's a Slugblaster rite of passage, right?
Yeah. Speaking of, I checked in with the only person I know who's peeled back personally, and asked him what might help, and he recommended. And she pulls out a pack of Pocky and hands it to you. I don't know if it's.
I was going to say death sticks.
He also recommended death sticks, but I think that's more of a him thing.
Yeah, K-Jump takes it and looks kind of confused at the package for a sec, and then she like opens it up and tries some, and she's like, "Oh yeah, this is really good. Your friend is really onto something."
He has his moments. Anyway, how you been?
Okay, listen, yeah, fine. I'm dying inside, and everything feels like it's like turning inside out and back inside, and that is uncomfortable. And I know Tybalt is also going through it, but that is actually not what I want to talk to you about right now. Really important. You know about Furion Peak, right?
So, run that by me again.
Furion Peak, only the highest, most dangerous peak in Calorium.
I can't say I'm familiar.
Oh my garb! It's set to erupt like ow my head soon. Really soon, and it's going to create this like network of geysers that you can like glide along from one to the other, and it said that it can actually take you to the hidden floating city. So, ow, hang on. And she like reaches for a glass of water, but the glass of water is like bright blue, and she throws some of it back and sets it on her nightstand. She's like, anyway, people are going to try to get to the city in the fastest time. And I figure you're kind of ahead of me right now because you fought maybe the greatest, I mean, I guess they're not a Slugblaster, but like interdimensional being of all time. So I figured it would, only be sporting to like give you a heads up that I'm going to get the best, I'm going to get the best time.
When is this volcano set to erupt?
In like 2 days, with the multiverse conversion.
Maeve just kind of smiles to herself and is like, all right, we'll see about that, K-Jump.
What do you mean you see, but you think I can't do it? And she like starts to sit up and then immediately falls back.
No, you can do it.
But can you do it? Do you think you're up to the challenge?
I've never seen a challenge I wasn't up for.
Great, then.
But she comes and sits down on K-Jump's bed as she says this.
Then may the best Slugblaster win.
Sure thing, K-Jump. But for now, have another gulp of that blue stuff, okay?
Okay, can you pull the curtains, please? There's like a little ray of beautiful tangerine sunlight that's hitting my eyes in a way that I don't like.
I got you. And she pulls the curtains and pulls her blankets up.
Tell me about this, Pete.
This was Truce, the end of the rivalry beats. How do you make it right? Can you salvage your friendships? Is it even worth it? -1 Doom, +2 with 2 factions, +1 Legacy or Trait. I think we already kind of saw the resolution of the rivalry in the run itself. Like, K-Jump showed up when Maeve needed her, came through in the long run, even had that beat where we talked about, getting the ad pulled and Maeve was like, nah, I kind of like leaving it up. So this was mostly just to check in with them on a personal level and bring things full circle.
Nice. And it sounds like the rivalry is still there, but it's much more healthy.
It's in a loving way.
Yeah. I think for Doom, I'm going to take away Disaster.
Okay.
And I think for the factions, I'm going to resolve the unstable status with BRB to a +2.
Mm-hmm.
And their sponsors, Scramcat, I'm going to give them the +2, putting them at a -1. So, still rivals.
Makes sense. Can I counteroffer?
Oh.
Because I was very excited about finishing out this track because it does clear 1 Doom. And I don't know who gets to make the call of which Doom it clears, but this might be my only opportunity. Can I clear Tethered?
Oh. That is the Doom that we said as long as you had it, you couldn't be untethered.
Yeah, and this is the last episode and my only chance to clear a Doom.
Okay. Yes.
If I throw a kick on it?
You can clear Tethered. Which means you do keep the Disaster Doom. That attack add-on you is still circulating, baby.
Yeah.
And what are we calling this legacy?
Yeah, in honor of their ongoing rivalry and the place that we met up just now, we'll go with Exceptional Young Ladies.
I think we are, as typical with Wolt scenes, returning to a familiar location, and that is the Daibokin Battle Arena at Applebykins. Wolt is just finishing up a light sparring match with Brabley. Rather, it is Arthurkin and Cobrakin having a sparring match with Wolt and Brabley there, as Daibokin partners always are. Wolt has not ever returned to the form of using Carcinitekin. It saps you when you use your own life force to power a digital being. But they've grown and they keep working together and partnering up with their Daibokin. They take a familiar seat at the bar, order up a couple of egg creams, a classic refreshment after some healthy exercise. And coming up to the bar, along with these egg creams, is Stuart, who has something else for Wolt.
Here are your egg creams, Woldton. As always, it is a pleasure to serve you.
Oh, thanks so much, Stuart, and keep the change.
Wow, thank you. I have something else for you. Here you go, special delivery. And Stuart, the same slot where Stuart dispenses like tickets and like the numbers when you did the Daibokin race, an envelope just go patooey out and onto the bar in front of you.
Oh, thanks. Who's this from?
Ma!
Sorry, I guess you wouldn't be reading the mail. I just...
No, that is an offense.
I don't typically get deliveries here.
I will say it is very not typical for deliveries to come to Applebykins.
I thought Post Host was done. Why does it have their stamp on it? Sorry, Stuart. I shouldn't be asking you all these complex questions about our parcel service.
I just serve egg creams and dispense tickets. This is all new territory for me.
Thanks. Here's a further tip to stop having this conversation with me, and I'll just read my mail.
Understood. And it abruptly turns and goes away.
Like so fast.
Yes, just zips. So yeah, very fast.
And Wolt opens up this envelope that he was not expecting. It is something delivered to him, and as he opens it, it's a message from someone familiar.
Yeah, obviously the name isn't written anywhere but the bottom where signatures go, but you recognize the handwriting instantly because it's handwriting you have seen so many other times before, because when you're pen pals with someone, you grow to know their handwriting. It's a letter from Brinley.
Mm-hmm.
This letter states that she's heard what happened. She wants to make sure you're okay. She's okay. She's safe. And even though with everything going on, her name has been cleared by this point, she's made the decision not to return to Operaeblum at this time. She is in contact with her dads and with Daphne. There's some other stuff in there, but something that stands out to you is the envelope is addressed to you. There's also a return address. It's a postbox in the mid-floors of Lansdowne Tower.
I think Wolt reads this, and he's just sort of stunned for a moment, and then he hears,
Wolt?
Oh, sorry, Bravely.
We need you to settle a bet between Carcinican and Viperkin. If Viperkin had arms, who would win an arm wrestle?
I'm saying it's not a bet worth doing because it's purely hypothetical.
I'm saying I would win.
And Wolt, I think, chuckles to himself, and he folds up the letter, tucking it away inside of his jacket, knowing that he's going to get back to it later, and he'll find a way to maybe pick up being pen pals again.
Well, I mean, in theory, Viperkin is more of like a strength build, so Carcinican, I think you're out of luck. We are more of a, I don't know, we're like a technician kind of class, and it's
Suck on that egg cream, Carcinican.
No!
Tell me about this beat.
So this, using the remaining 4 style I have, as well as the last style from the cruise bank, I'm paying for You Earned It. A trophy, a trick named after you, a scholarship, a moment you'll cherish forever, +1 legacy. And yeah, this is just sort of the reestablishing contact with an old friend that was like an original bond that Wolt had going into this season.
It's beautiful. What are we calling this legacy?
I think it's just got to be pen pals.
Yeah, absolutely. With that, gang, I think it's time to move into the epilogue. So going forward, things in Operaeblum start looking very, very different. The arborists turn their attention away from pruning the entire dimension of Operaeblum and instead narrow their focus to excising the root cause of Operaeblum's illness, Shimmer. This campaign starts with a little visit to a loaner shop in Kindred Multiversal Megatower by the name of Quick and Dirty. They received a tip-off from one particular Trev 4 unit. At first, the employees at Quick and Dirty are standoffish and confrontational, but they quickly change their tune once the Nexus Master walks through the door.
I don't know. They're not so tough.
After that, things unfold very, very quickly, and it feels like each new shift has more breaking news of more and more people found to be affiliated with Shimmer and arrested. You see artist renderings, the criminal sketches of Gabor, of Jericho, of many others across all 3 towers. No one tower looks worse than the other. They are all equally complicit. Shimmer has infiltrated all of them. You do get the sense, however, that while it is a serious upset for Shimmer and they are effectively done here in Operaeblum, you do get the sense that they weren't fully rounded up. They weren't fully caught. And you feel that way because you never see that artist rendering of Shamb. You do see a face that you haven't seen in a little while, though. Hattie. And the news stories that follow reveal that she actually turns herself in. And in doing so, clears the name of one Arachne Jam. They are released, and shortly after, Post-Host is once again operational and running at full capacity. Cross-tower communications and deliveries resume, this time legally and legitimately. The communication between the towers gets stronger than ever. The arborists, beyond rooting out Shimmer, are also hard at work defending Goldstar Disaster and their actions against Triskelion Base. Part of this is establishing a task force to go down into the fog to confirm that your warning was true, and it was. The towers were, in fact, pushing down on the ground, pushing down a crater for the fog to pool into, and construction of a super tower would have only made things much, much worse. With evidence to back up your warning, the towers start to work together to make a game plan for the future of Operaeblum. It starts with decommissioning any projects higher than floor 8 and dismantling those higher floors. There are promises made to renovate the mid to lower floors and to make them spaces that will draw people down into those lower areas so that people don't constantly migrate up to the top and build higher, but reside through all of Operaeblum, all the way down to floor 2. And of course, as referenced in your crew downtime, what would have been Triskelion Base turns instead into a 3-way skyway between the 3 towers known as Goldstar Landing. In the shifts and cycles that follow, you also see ads playing among the screens across Operaeblum, laying out plans to seek new settlements in Operaeblum. The 3 towers are putting together all of their expertise and technology to make this happen. Kindred has their cruise line fleet. Lansden has their state-of-the-art Hasware and their construction that they know will withstand the fog. Webb has medical advances. In fact, many people within the former Pinnacle project of Webb sign up to be part of these teams to form settlements. They're excited by the possibility of doing something that will better Operaeblum that also has safe working conditions. The threat of the fog rising is still there. The towers are still sinking down, the fog is still rising up ever so slowly. There are a lot of promises that are made, and there is no guarantee that all of these promises will be kept. And through the towers, sometimes that hope isn't quite there. Sometimes it still feels a little bit bleak. Is the future that we're envisioning really one that people are willing to follow through on? There is still so much disaster that lurks just around the corner. And if people still give in to their fear, to their greed, to their self-interest, that disaster may yet arrive. But the hope that is there is persistent, it is ongoing, and its teeth are sharper than ever. Let's talk about Goldstar Disaster and their epilogue. First, we will decide how much time your epilogue covers. The GM has final say.
I think given this rebuilding and the fact that we've got Triskelion Base turned into Goldstar Landing, more than a couple days needs to have transpired for our epilogue. So I'm going to pitch more than a month.
I feel like a short term, like a couple months kind of thing. Like, yeah.
I like giving it a little bit of perspective because, you know, it's fun. It's our opportunity to sort of look ahead a little bit and put buttons on things. But I also don't want to zoom out too far because, you know, these are fun characters, and I don't want to pin down their futures too concretely. So I'm going to throw out like no more than a year.
Plans are starting to be set in motion, but nothing is advanced to the point of completion or anything.
All right, then each player rolls 1d6 per 2 doom to determine their epilogue's low point, and 1d6 per 2 legacy to determine their epilogue's high point. You are going to use that roll to describe what happens to you, and we're going to end on your high point. After all, this is Slugblaster, not Sad Blaster.
Before we do that, because it's one's going to be rolling a dice for a high point, we're rolling a dice for a low point. I think whichever comes next for Helix, I think his epilogue is very much centered on his relationship with Sequence and his relationship with himself, as in Helix B. And I don't know which one I want to be good or which one to be bad. And also we get varying degrees, right? Like maybe it's your low point's really low or not too bad. High point's really high, or not too high. So before we all do this, if you'll indulge me, Helix B is odds, Sequence is even. Whichever one I roll on this die will be the high point.
Okay.
I got a 3, which is odd. So Helix B will be the high point, and Sequence will be the low point.
Okay. So we have rolled for our low points and our high points. We are going to figure out the epilogue for each character, starting with Trev 4.
Okay, well, for my low point, I rolled 1 die, and I got a 2 on that, which is on the lower end. And then my high point, I rolled 4 die. I didn't get the 6 that I wanted, but I got a 5, so that's still pretty good.
Okay.
And I'm going to go with my low point being a looming threat, and my 5 being keeping at it. I think I'm going to use the 2 things. And I think how that looks is Trev is now invigorated, seeing that all this progress that's been happening with the towers, and trying to figure out where he fits into this whole thing. And his solution is that he is going to go back to college, aka go to college the first time. And and so, now I'm sure listeners are thinking, oh, we're going to see a montage of going through college. And yes, but the montage is going to be very short, because what he does is go off to the junkyard, and he finds some old programs like discs or whatever.
Yeah, CD-ROMs.
Yeah, CD-ROMs that he is going to go and just load up the entirety of all the policies and codes and for all 3 towers. And so his college was he leaves home and he says to the scrubber bot, "I'm off to college," and goes off, gets the disc, puts it in himself, and he comes back and he's like,
10 minutes later,
I'm finished with college. And he then opens up this whole practice and becomes a labor lawyer to stand up, because now he knows policies inside and out, that he's able to okay. And he always takes his client and gets the best thing for them, doing that whole, roundabout, oh, you need to file this form and here and take this, and you wouldn't know this unless it was under here. And so he starts that whole thing, and he becomes a thorn in the side of all of the different towers.
Can we say that you've changed your acronym to telemetric response to employer violations?
Yeah. And so that way he is starting to appear in ads and everything like that.
The classic injury lawyer ads.
All right.
Have you been wronged by?
Has your boss treated you like butts? Well, don't worry. Come to Trev 4. And, this whole... he gives all of his things for free because he doesn't really need money.
Right.
So he starts showing up everywhere. He gets taken to court. They try to, sue him and all this kind of stuff. But because he's not really a person, he also gets to avoid all of these other legal things, and so he's able to keep them all at bay.
Waverly Wick, Woldton's mom, is your worst. You are her worst enemy. She's having the hardest time.
I'm just causing.
Either that or your best friends.
Yeah, that's well.
Depends on the
depends.
day.
It
Yeah,
depends.
that's true. Yeah.
You know, different corporations might try to reach out. Hey, you could join us and be on our legal team, and he just shuts it down. And so he has problems every once in a while. His elevator doesn't work weirdly, and
Yeah.
but he just deals with it. And,
So like his low point is he's sort of experiencing all of these setbacks that would come from being such a high profile
yeah.
labor
He
lawyer.
turns into like a real Ralph Nader, if anybody knows who that guy is. And it was just like he's a thorn in the side, but the only difference is I don't run for president. He just like stays an advocate for workers.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that for Trev 4.
Yeah.
Maeve.
So I rolled for my low point, I rolled a 2, and for my high point, I rolled a 5. So I think we're going to start with a scene in the Arborist Temple, and it's a scene very similar to one we saw way back in the very first episode of Season 2. The Arborists are all gathered in sort of a hall, an auditorium area for an Arborist ceremony. Tarmint is up there. Maeveline is up there. There's a ornate stone dagger being raised. And Tarmint is talking about, the music's playing because it's a montage, so we don't actually hear any of the dialogue.
Yeah.
And the dagger is raised up, but as it comes down, it's a different sort of motion than we saw when Sharla was untethered all those episodes ago. It's slower, it's gentler. This is not an untethering ceremony. This is a retethering ceremony. Maeve has decided to tether herself to the plane of Operaeblum rather than her original home of Thanaspar. She is committed to the well-being of this dimension. She is in it for the long haul, and she wants to make that commitment by tying herself to this plane on a quantum level. So while I was able to clear that doom, she is still tethered, but in a slightly different way.
I love that.
This is weirdly part of my high point. 4 to 5 is a new friend, an old friend, reconnecting, progress, rebuilding, keeping at it. And I think the thing that Maeve is keeping at is arborism. With this retethering comes a renewed commitment to the Arborist organization. I think she's really committed to sort of what we talked about last episode of this sort of new wave of thinking in the Arborists, that a hands-off approach is not only not the best approach, but not even possible. That by existing in the multiverse, you have an impact on it. And Maeve is a strong proponent of we need to be more actively involved in doing right by these dimensions and not trying to do a prime directive, don't interfere thing, because you can't. You have an impact whether you like it or not, kind of thing. And it's sort of a shift in the mindset. And I think a lot of the older Arborists aren't fans of it and don't take kindly to it. But there is a new younger generation with Maeve, with Sharla, with a lot of maybe with some of those, what was the bullshit crew that those other guys had?
Zaslow and Jessica and Thrip.
Yeah. And they're all kind of coming around to this new way of thinking of maybe the Arborists do need to more actively fight on behalf of disenfranchised dimensions and work to restore the balance in favor of all of the multiverse.
Yeah.
She does also have a fun little, regardless of what ends up happening with Goldstar Disaster, which we'll find out in our crew epilogue. I think her and K-Jump continue their rivalry. And in fact, I think they go a step further with everything that went down. I think they're all somewhat celebrities from this. And I think Maeve and K-Jump leverage that a little bit. They form kind of a super group with Maeve, K-Jump, and Decembria.
Oh, yes.
And the three of them will occasionally do big public stunts, usually for charity or to raise money or raise awareness for some cause. But they have their own little, in addition to their crews that they're all a part of, they have a little side project, a boxcar racer to the Blink-182 that is Goldstar Disaster, if you will.
Yes.
Exceptional young ladies.
And they're called the Exceptional Young Ladies. As far as my low point goes, I think I'm going to go in on that, a looming threat, a nagging loose end. I think as Maeve rises up through the ranks of the Arborists and takes more of a leadership role, one of the things she is working towards is trying to track down and eradicate the remains of Shimmer, of Twinkle, as she knew them back in her home dimension. And I think that's the one that got away for her. She's, wherever she gets a lead on what Shimmer's up to, she's always 2 steps behind, and they're always just a little bit ahead of her, and she never quite is able to track down Sham, or at least not in the timeline we're covering in this epilogue. So there's still that lingering threat of like what's going on there and what they might be planning and what sort of retribution they might unleash, but we don't know.
We don't know. Wolt.
For my low point, I rolled 1 die, and I rolled a 5, which lands in 4 to 5. A long road, stuck in a rut, grounded for a year, difficult changes, something ending. And I think this takes the form of, as we sort of heard in voicemails from his parents, they're proud of the work he was doing, but also it was kind of reckless and stuff, and he was canonically grounded.
He was.
I think somehow that one of them is connected higher up enough within Kindred Corporation to be able to pull some strings with someone who works in the Daibokin company. And they're, in a way, they are able to disable his Daibovice's ability to turn into a board.
Oh,
so
okay.
He can still use the Daibovice and do what he does with it, because they're like, oh yeah, he just like feeds his pet on it. He pushes the buttons, he does those things. They don't really understand how Daibokin battling works.
Yeah.
But they understand that the slug blasting angle of it was something that was like troublesome in some ways. So after a bit of trying to decipher these requests to disable his Slugbuster mode, they do actually find a way to disengage the ability to turn his Daibovice into a board, and Wolt is unable to Slug Blast in that way.
Because, yeah, that would get rid of Nth Gear capability, wouldn't it?
Yeah, no dimensional travel in the standard way, no pulling tricks, none of that. And at a point where Wolt, I think, was finally more than being happy with the label of being a Daibokin trainer and stuff, he was feeling like, oh, I'm a Slugblaster, I'm part of Goldstar Disaster, we are a crew, I have merit in this sport, this field, and he's not able to pursue that anymore. And I think that's why that is tinged as a low point.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be quite the setback for Wolt. What about the high point?
Well, for the high point, I rolled 4 dice, and I landed a 6.
Ooh.
Living the dream, popularity, money, lasting friendships, or just complete happiness doing what you love. You get what you wanted most. And I think in the absence of doing slug blasting stuff, he has more time to focus in on that flip side of Daibokin training.
Yeah.
And I think he is approached by representatives from the Daibokin company. I don't know if we've ever described that. It's just part of Kindred. It's just a faction within Kindred kind of thing, right? But it turns out there was footage taken of Goldstar Disaster's battle against the Nexus Master at Triskelion Base, which captured Wolt and Carcinokin surging up to the perfect form Carcinitekin, and there is actual full proof that reaching a perfect form is capable. Someone's done it. Someone was able to form a bond that was strong enough to reach that, and that's something sort of unseen for the company. There had been rumors about Olive having reached that before, but now they have definitive proof, and they want to partner with Wolt to figure out what can be done with that. And I think it feels very influenced by Generation 8 of Pokemon in the Galar region, with just like huge stadium, him walking in like there's a big fight, and you see across the field his opponent is Olive. She has managed to redeem herself, and they're facing off as the 2 chosen people to decide who will become the new Daibokin champion for the company.
They unleash their 2 Daibokin, and they're like running towards each other, and the camera like zooms in, but then it cuts to black.
Oh, absolutely. Oh my god.
Yeah. Helix.
Yes, so I rolled a 6 for my high point and a 6 for my low point, so they're as high as they can be and as low as they can be. And I also sort of decided which one of his 2 relationships would be tied to those roles, and it turns out that the high point will focus on Helix B, and unfortunately the low point will focus on Sequence.
Let's start with this low point.
The low point, 6, a lasting injury, a broken dream, a future you can't escape. Sent to juvie, a lost friendship, something that haunts you. I really leaned into lasting injury because I blew that disaster roll at the end.
Oh, yeah.
Helix is never going to be quite the same. He's never going to be a perfect physical specimen because he has been damaged in a way that is a lasting injury. He will likely walk with the aid of a cane for the rest of his life and will likely have difficulty breathing because he spent a significant amount of time crawling up the walls of the towers.
Through 200 floors
through 200 floors of toxic fog.
Yeah.
And it would be quite the same. But I also think Sequence has endured similar challenges. And I think she also has a lasting injury, but more internal, more of a trauma. And in the days following all of this, yes, she trashed the Pinnacle project. Yes, she helped with the last fight with the Martins and stuff. But as they sort of collect themselves and the days go by, being yanked from life as an Operaeblum, put into the tube with the false memories, and then yanked back out only to fight the Nexus Master and watch a good friend almost die. Sequence is not okay. And I think it makes it impossible for them to see if their relationship was going to evolve any farther. I think they are very close friends. I think they have a lot of love and trust and connection to each other, but she's just not in a good way. I don't think she can exist in Web Tower or deal with any of the news regarding Triskelion Base, whatever might be happening. It's all too much for her.
Yeah, and I think it might be fair to say that while you are able to maintain a friendship and a bond with each other, you do find that it's hard. Sometimes you both have so much that you individually need to go through that sometimes you're able to help each other, sometimes being around each other only makes it harder. And so there are moments where maybe you go whole weeks without talking to each other because you just need to figure things out for yourself.
Yes, and we remind ourselves, being in each other's presence is such a reminder of what they'd been through.
Yeah.
And I think after, I like that you offered the possible weeks go by, we're dealing like within that first 100 days. I think one of the last times they talk, in fact, possibly the last time they ever speak, Sequence expresses an interest in needing to get away from all of this. It's just all too much. But I actually was going to say Sequence goes to live on another dimension, but as Robyn expressed in his with oh yeah, you are tethered to your dimension. You can't really just up and move to Quahalia. Slugblasters can barely do it, let alone average people or above average people in Sequence's case. So I think she opts to join one of the vessels. This will be in the coming months, to go establish a new settlement in Operaeblum. She's perfectly poised to weather the, whatever should come, whatever environment they might find on this new settler venture. But the drama of what Operaeblum used to be is more than she can handle and is going to set off on new horizons to create a new life and new experiences for herself. And unfortunately that means leaving Helix behind.
Yeah.
And they are both, lasting injuries and a lost friendship. So, womp womp, I got a 6. Sorry that's a drag, but hopefully this next part will pump you up, because also High Point is a 6. Living the dream, popularity, money, lasting friendships, or just complete happiness doing what you love. You get what you wanted most. And so I think because there are 2 Helixes, there are kind of 2 examples of what he wanted most. Our Helix A, has had this whole rich series of experiences, not just everything we had on record in character in the game, but the things that preceded it, but is also now not physically able to Slugblast anymore. So he's gonna pivot a bit, and I'll get to that in a moment. But I think Helix B lives the life Helix imagined for himself before he went into Slugblasting, the Pinnacle project imagined for him, and genuinely makes Helix B very happy. He stays on Operaeblum. He is part of the Pinnacle Project 2.0, using that data for the betterment of all of Operaeblum in the multiverse, being that all-around Goldstar, golden boy of web, almost like takes on that mantle happily, perhaps even ends up finding someone special, Sequence B. And so Sequence B and Helix B are part of the Pinnacle project in a consensual and enthusiastic and productive way.
Yeah.
They live just down from Bach. They take care of Bach. They've got the Operaeblum equivalent of a white picket fence. Oh, a white frosted glass sliding door.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And they are like cue the like plucky music, like real Leave It, the Operaeblum equivalent of like a Leave It to Beaver, like perfect Operaeblum family.
Yeah.
Going every day to the science facility to make Operaeblum better. The two of them just live this blissful life together. And that's kind of cool because Helix Prime gets to witness that. He kind of gets to live that vicariously. Meanwhile, within these 100 days, he is given an opportunity to also go work for the Pinnacle project, but turns it down because he has gotten another sponsorship opportunity just for himself. Not even sponsorship, employment opportunity from Fust.
Oh, yeah.
He had originally thrown that contract in the stink pit, but Fust has always kind of been the...
That's sort of your way, that's Fust's way of signing a contract,
Yeah.
really. Throwing it in the stink pit.
If anyone
That's what they
signs
call
it normally, it's actually a test.
Yeah,
they
it's
failed.
sus.
Yeah, he's getting much more money, and I think he takes on, because we're staying within 100 days, who knows what will happen for him in his new position within Fust, but I'd like to think he takes on something of a coach role, starts teaching new teams, starts helping with some of the direction of the company, starts a new squad, maybe even has a friendly rivalry with
The exceptional young lady.
the exceptional young ladies versus young Fust, or young Stunts, whatever Helix is crewing. But he's not a physically perfect creature anymore, but he has wisdom and intelligence well beyond his years because of all the things he's experienced, and he is now going to take his life of experience, unique, that are truly his own, and pass them on to people who need them. So Helix B is passing on good genetics and DNA and what he was supposed to. Helix Prime is passing on wisdom and life experience.
Truly the smarts playbook.
Truly now, leaning truly
in
into
the
smarts.
epilogue, he's finally the smarts
Finally, the smarts playbook.
His arc was becoming the smarts.
Yeah.
You get what you wanted most, your own playbook.
Precisely.
Finally, what happens to the crew? This thing you are part of that's bigger than yourselves, bigger than any one member. We have a series of questions here, and we are going to answer them as a group, starting with, what is that one epic story everyone tells about you?
I feel it's got to be the thing at the end, like this
Yeah.
that whole fight to take down.
Yeah, we become something of working class heroes, like
Yeah.
mythologized, not mythologized, but like I think about how in Winnipeg there's that statue of a collapsed streetcar for when there was like a workers' uprising.
Local legends.
Local legends, yeah.
Yeah. I think we already kind of covered that with like Goldstar Landing and the Goldstar Landing, that is our contribution and our legacy. Yeah.
Totally. And I think, like, going forward, Goldstar Disaster has a lot less pressure put on them to be the unifying force of Operaeblum. The Arborists take a lot of that from you and bear a lot of that responsibility. So your symbol, or your status as a symbol of Operaeblum, is truly a lot more symbolic now. What is that one perfect memory none of you will ever forget? The Chill has final say.
I think one that sort of like lands as a perfect sort of memory encapsulated was a real turning point for Goldstar Disaster of being invited to the Multiversal Odyssey, where they had to sort of give that impromptu speech, and they really managed to rebond as a crew, and that solidified, despite a lot of the turmoil that they had gone through, they had found a vision for what they wanted to mean for the towers. They got through that, they went on their own separate adventures, but then they had a really nice dinner at the Golden Spoon all together, and it was a cruise that was meant for relaxation, but there was a lot of discovery still, and I think it's remembered as a very good day for the crew overall.
Even Walt discovered each other's lips on that cruise.
Helix learned
Exactly.
Trev's back, the rich inner life of a robot. And it was where we stopped being just a Slugblasting crew and we're like about something.
Because I really think that the speech that you gave, that impromptu speech, was the precursor to when you delivered the ad, right?
Yeah.
You knew you could do it because you already did.
Yeah.
What did the crew contribute to the sport of Slugblasting? The Smarts has final say.
Yeah, I'm going to pitch the thing we contributed to the sport of slugblasting is that social justice mentality. I even think, because if I get to let's play, I'm going to do what I love, which is tying it back into the previous season. This nice 1-2 punch where like Weird Gravity messed with Myper for the greater good. We've messed with Shimmer and the status quo of Operaeblum for the greater good. And if these all work in one conjunctive timeline, like these two events happened within a year or two of each other, I think this really helped cement Slugblaster as a countercultural action more than a sport and more than a fad. I do think slugblasting will become an Olympic sport one day, or be legitimized as some kind of competition. But I think these actions being so tied to slugblasters keeps it with definitely one foot in the punk rock counterculture attitude. Perhaps even this action shifts that Overton window to be like, no, Slugblaster is radical. It is disobedient. It is a force for change. And all the contests in the world, all the gear that have brands on it in the world can't change that vibe of, Vux you, we're gonna do it the way we want and get on board or get out of the way.
Really solidified how empowering the active it can be for those who partake.
Yeah. Does the crew stay together? Break up? Live on with new members? What part of the crew's legacy endures the longest? The Grit has final say.
The legacy side of things, I think we've already firmly established, like when we're this tied up in the fate of Operaeblum, that is the part of our legacy that, like, long after people forget about Goldstar Disaster, the teen hoverboarders, they will remember Goldstar Disaster, the political movement that stopped Operaeblum from sinking, So I think our legacy is firmly entrenched there. As to what happens with the crew, I'd like to pitch that maybe the crew doesn't carry forward either with the current members or with new members, but not in like a tragic way. I think just the thing that strikes me is that each of us has something else that we're very invested in. Woldton has, Dabokin training and becoming the Dabokin champion. Trev has like labor action and like fighting for the little guy in the towers. Maeve has been pulled into the path of arborism and sort of shepherding the dimension of Operaeblum. And Helix had everything going on with the Pinnacle project and now with Fust and sort of raising up the younger generation. So I think it's less the kind of thing where like, oh, we drift apart and we don't talk anymore. We like, it all implodes and we're at each other's throats. I think it's just the kind of thing where like it becomes clearer and clearer that Goldstar Disaster was a moment in time. It was like a project that we all completed together. Goldstar Disaster and saving Operaeblum were one and the same. And by doing one, we completed the other. And so the final point will decide our personal relationships, but I think our professional relationship is less of a breakup and more of a completion. It was a success. We did it.
I like that.
We all, by slug blasting, learned what kind of people we were and what we really cared about and what really mattered to us, and came out the other side of it, with more purpose and more direction in life. It's just that purpose and direction didn't happen to be continuing to slug blast.
Yeah. It was a vehicle for you to figure out who you really were.
Yeah.
And once you figured that out, it was time to move on. Absolutely.
Wilkie's is peeved to have lost their spokes team.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that sponsorship deal will come to an end. They keep the gold star, though. They buy the rights.
I'll get them one day.
My little niblets can't escape.
Stop reading my notes. It's the cliffhanger. And finally, do any of you still hang out? If not, when was the last time you were all together? Did you know it was the last time? The heart has final say.
I think the crew absolutely still hangs out fairly often, whether it's at the parks that we normally do, or just like both as a big group. Or I can see Trev inserting into his day, like, he'll go and see Wolt do his championship bout, and he'll check in with Helix coaching and all that.
Helix's crew has a big event, like we're all there in the stands with him and stuff in his private box.
And so I think a lot of that just happens, and it's kind of like it almost becomes strange in reflection, because there used to be a time when they were like locked away from each other and prevented. And there's like maybe like one day when they're all hanging out where it's just like, this used to not be possible, and now it's become like every week we see each other. And
that is funny. Yeah, early on, like part of the reason we were slug blasting, like we were all into slug blasting, but also it was the only way any of us could hang out being from different towers. And now because of what we did, we can just be friends. We don't have to be slug blasters to be friends. We can just be friends.
Yeah.
Real true to life shit here, huh?
Yeah. Like,
oh, there's a pandemic. The only way we can hang out and do stuff together is playing games and recording it online. Now we finished it. We saved it.
I think what you've said about how you are able to see each other so much more is not just contained to you as a group of friends. It is true for all the towers of Operaeblum, and regardless of other promises that have been made and lofty goals that have been set, you feel the environment of the towers change as people start to travel to other towers more. The skyways become more bustling. Goldstar Landing truly is a hub, not just for Slugblasters, but for everyone. You also see that the lower floors of the towers are starting to become more filled out. Places get renovated and remodeled. Businesses move down there. People move down there. And yes, Goldstar Landing is very much where you spend time with each other, with the Wicks, with other arborists, maybe with members of the Pinnacle project and people involved in Daibokin training. But the final scene that I want to see here is in Trinity Municipark, on floor 198. Now, technically, people still aren't allowed to go below 2, but you're Slugblasters. Your counterculture. So the doors to Zenith 98 Hub open and Woldton Maeve come through, propelled forward by Carcinokin's Bubble Blaster. Trev 4 enters from Web Tower. They have perfect polishing slime, and he's been looking into maybe just like fixing up the place a little bit, see if he can get that old fountain working again. Helix comes in from Lansdowne Tower. He's been helping them out with their Hasware, offering up diagnostics that they can use to make sure that the people who go out into the settlements are safe. Maeve, of course, has brought some boxes of pizza from Infinite Pizza.
Can I say she didn't bring them with her, but as they get down there, she kind of checks her watch and she's like, oh, cutting it close. And then down comes Brably on his hoverboard, carrying boxes in a little delivery boy cab.
He's got a job.
He's got a job with Post Host.
Oh, that's perfect. Brably is absolutely working for Post Host.
5 more minutes and they would have been free.
It's never gonna happen, Maeve.
I'll get you one day. And she knocks the sectional brim of his little delivery boy cap and it spins around his head.
And in your time here, you don't actually leave through any portal zones. The one indicator of the arborist's pruning is that portal zone to Prismatia is closed. But you don't need it as a gate to spend time together. You can spend time together right here.
To think how far we've come having to meet here under clandestine circumstances. I was reminded last time we were all having brunch at Goldstar Landing. Not to take this for granted, I guess.
People don't poo-poo when I smoke death sticks down here, so it's nice every once in a while.
You gotta give it up, babe. It's rough on your lungs. Ask Helix. Helix knows a thing or two about stuff being rough on the lungs.
Yeah, I'll cut back.
You should listen.
Yeah, Carcinokin's got my back. They do their little secret handshake that they've developed.
It's actually a handshake. That's the secret part.
Trev is momentarily distracted, talking to his paralegal. Yes, make sure you file this immediately with the courts. Here, take it up right away, and gives it to the tiny little scrubber bot. Off it goes.
Hey, we said no shop talk. I'm not here talking about arborist stuff. We said we'd focus on each other for today.
It's only running a little bit in the background. It's like a background program.
It's only 20%.
It's only 20%. Well, this is fantastic. I do appreciate spending time with all of you, and I'm glad that we don't have to rely on slug blasting. I did not appreciate having to scrub out all of the scuffs in my armor / broken visors. It was costing far too much.
You loved it.
I did like it, but that was more because I was spending it with all of you, and you helped me find new purpose.
I mean, I think we all did that for each other, Trev. Kind of looks around appraisingly at everyone in our new paths. All right, now who's got some hot Slugblaster gossip? I'll go first. You are not going to believe Charla and Tybalt.
And with that, the camera pulls away from the laughter of Goldstar Disaster, away from Trinity Municipark, away from the 3 towers, until they're just 3 small triangles. And that concludes Season 2 of Quantum Kickflip!
That sounded like we were in danger.